This episode of Limit Break Radio is made possible by our generous Patreon donors, including Eldon Faircloud of the Leviathan server, Sineju Shiku of the Goblin server, Lucian Dantes of Diabolo server. Thank you so much for your support. If you want to support Limit Break Radio, visit patreon.com/limitbreakradio.
Live from Eorzea.
Limit Break with your hosts, Nero.
You dare bring light to my lair? You must die!
Kahlo.
Take a number!
Juxtaposition.
I am hilarious and you will quote everything I say.
Eskalia.
So, I'll just be here, then.
And Nika.
Oh, come on, dummy!
LimitBreakRadio.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1!
Welcome to Limit Break Radio. A radio...
Oh, we're doing this again?
I don't know, yeah.
We haven't done this in forever.
I know, right?
Okay.
A radio...
A radio... Rebound.
Okay.
Robotic.
There we go.
What does robotics have to do with anything, Nika? What?
All the elegant shit is a robot.
No, Nika, stop.
Welcome to the show today. Thank you so much for tuning in live on twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. If you're listening on the podcast and you have never tuned in live, what the hell, man? Come on.
It's a really good show.
They're probably here now.
It's the fun times.
Here now?
Except instead of fun, read end. It's the end times.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
It was something. It sure was something. If you want to tune in live, that happens at twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. Head there and give it a follow. If you're listening live and you don't listen on the podcast, well, it is basically the same thing over there. But we hope that you'll subscribe over at limitbreakradio.com as well as on iTunes and wherever you find your podcasts. So joining me, of course, as every week we've got the full crew in full effect. Kahlo Landis, how's it going?
Hey.
How you doing?
Good. It's hot in here. I'd take off my shirt off.
Juxtaposition.
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I've already taken off my shirt.
Okay, that explains the smell. And Nika Kayanian, how you doing?
I'd like to mention that's not the full cast.
Who are
we missing?
Yeah, we got the full cast.
Yeah, that's everyone.
Wait, oh my gosh. Is Senpai finally accepted my offer to become on the show?
No.
Oh.
Sorry.
Wait. I'm confused. Who are we
We
missing?
do have a friend named Eskalia, who is
Hold on.
Whoa,
Friend is a strong term.
Yeah, let's not get crazy here.
I prefer
Just because
asshole.
he's number 6 doesn't mean we can cut him out.
I think
still
that's
have to
exactly what that...
No, hold on. She's right. Just being number 6 alone, no. However, he is a Dragoon, so yes, we can absolutely cut him out.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
No.
Anyway, yes. Okay, so Eskalia is not here joining us this week.
And
but
nothing of value was lost.
and, yeah, no one was sad. Anyway, we are live, of course, from Eorzea, and this week we are live from Idleshire. What the hell are you, Juxta?
God, I told you before we left to put some clothes
God.
on.
What the hell, man?
You like this?
No!
Oh, yeah.
That's horrible!
I think you need my fedora to complete the look.
No, here, I actually, you know what? I think I have something for this. I definitely have something for this.
What? Can we put a graphics up over top of him? Censor him out.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Here.
Stop that. You don't need to do that.
Kooky Persona says that Kahlo in a Zidane outfit is better than Juxta naked.
Wait, what? Oh my gosh.
Kooky is my number one fangirl.
I'm socially awkward.
I can't think of how to produce a
just like a straight up like black.
Yeah,
thing.
no,
you know what? And off the top of my head, I don't know if I know how either.
I don't know.
Damn it.
Oh,
None of this was funny at all.
Yeah, I know. You're not funny.
No,
Yeah.
you're not funny. Come on, we got a show to do. Quit effing around.
Yeah, well, yeah. Haven't you ever heard of dressing professionally?
Yeah, come on, man.
We're out. We're finally out of the cold, blistering cold of Ishgard. That's cold. So you know what? It's time for swimsuits and suntan. So
Here we go. I think.
Oh, you did it. You got it.
I think I have a solution here. Here we go. There we go.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. That'll work. Here. Let's put that down underneath the how to call. There we
There you
go.
go.
Just so we're clear. There.
It's a little big, don't you think? I think you can shrink it up a little bit.
Well, it's not big vertically. Notice it's not big vertically. It's big horizontally. It's just so it covers. It's covering those childbearing hips.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
So welcome to Limit Break Radio. We have got a huge episode for you guys today. Man.
I like how it makes me look like I'm not wearing clothes at all now.
Well, you know, if
I like it.
Your choice.
Oh wait, if I move the camera, the bar doesn't move with it. We're just gonna keep that there with the Twitter logo right over your face. This is appropriate. There
It's okay because the last episode I was like behind the chat the whole time, so he can deal with it.
Yeah. So welcome to the show. We've got a lot to talk about this week. We've got a couple of interesting topics here for you today. Last week, we were talking about Heavensward and how it compares to other MMO expansions. WoW, Final Fantasy XI, and
That's about all we've played.
Yeah, there was some Star Wars.
There's some Star Wars stuff. We have a little bit of reference towards Guild Wars.
Yeah. So that was last week. This week, we're going to be talking about gating content. This is something that's received a lot of attention, especially with Heavensward being in, being a freshly released game and large sites having to review the game. A lot has been talked about in terms of gating content, so we're going to talk a lot about that, as well as some other things. Hopefully, if we get to it here down the line,
and hopefully emails, because a lot of people actually really bummed out we didn't get to emails last time.
Yeah, okay. A lot were. Mm-hmm. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that with Limit Break Radio being each and every single week and not monthly and cut up into 3 pieces like we used to do it, there's some weeks where we're just not going to be able to get to emails.
You know what? Because of that, we should be able to read more emails, right?
Overall, we'll have more email quota because we could be reading emails every single week.
I feel like we're getting more emails now than when we were doing them monthly and we weren't reading them as often.
Absolutely. I totally agree. There's more email, and so if you send us an email and you don't hear it on the air, it's nothing personal. We're not trying to weed it out, or anything like that.
It was just because you sucked, basically.
Yeah,
that's what it amounts to.
And we hate you.
Yeah.
No,
you need to take it personally. Take it very,
don't
very
listen
personally.
to them. We have really low standards for emails. I mean, Samus is even on our email.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if we get to it today. There is a lot to talk about, and there's actually been a little bit of Final Fantasy XIV news. We figure we might as well start out with that. Square Enix has suspended Final Fantasy XIV max sales and has offered refunds.
So is it really that bad?
It really is a problem.
Because I feel like I was talking to someone recently in Laserbeam Raptors who said that like it was noticeable, but they're like, I mean, it's playable. But that bad, really? Like, are we talking
to be fair,
like Arkham Knight level bad?
You're playing a Mac.
Yeah,
you're playing on a Mac. I mean, you kind of deserve it. You kind of deserve it.
I'm pretty sure that the company who made the port just did a really shitastic job.
It's not good. Well, I don't know, man. Come on.
I mean, someone in my static played it, and they said they were surprised it was so bad.
Apple hardware. I don't know. Maybe Apple hardware's not working with the best.
So do you think Juxta's right? Do you think, like, if you have a Mac, you've really brought this upon yourself?
Oh, well, absolutely. I have no pity for you whatsoever. But get your refunds because they're being offered. Let's see. There was a lengthy letter that was posted to fans. Just, get your refunds. Get your refunds because that's what counts. And then with your refund, put it towards buying a real fucking computer.
Yeah, all $40 of it.
Yes. Hey, it's better than nothing. There's also been some footage that's been released out of the Japan Expo 2015. Give me a second, and I will get this up on the screen.
Now, it was actually our resident. I feel like we need to come up with a more official title. She was just our PR person, but I feel like Kookie's gone above and beyond that now, and she needs like a really prestigious title. But she was the one who actually found this first and brought this to our attention, wasn't she?
Yeah. Well, she was like right on the ball, posting this straight to the Facebook page, which is where I saw it first. And you can like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/LimitBreak Radio.
You're now getting your news from us. How cool is that?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's so meta, right? So hey, let's take a look at this video. This is the very first images of Alexander from out at the 2015 Japan Expo.
Mm-hmm. And I've actually found where he's going to be in the Dravanian hinterland.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be so cool when he finally gets like all rose up and everything.
So there,
what's he saying in Nero?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
no,
exactly.
You mean hype.
Yeah, there's a couple. I really want the I Beat Ravana T-shirt. That's a pretty sweet T-shirt.
I have a feeling though that not that many people who just walk up to the machine in person are going to be able to beat it in like the 20-minute time limit or whatever they give you.
Totally. All right, so here's our first look at Alexander. Which, I gotta say, the zone design looks pretty sweet. It is very reminiscent of Coil.
Very industrialized.
Very industrial. I like the pistons that are going up and down there.
Yeah,
I wonder if there's gonna be some like, zone play.
I really like how it's actually more, like, gritty and dirty looking than it is, like what we've been used to with
Coil, yeah.
The way all the other Allegon stuff has been all, like, pristine and, like, magical looking, and this is just really, like, you're down in the engine and, like, wading through the grease and stuff.
Totally.
Wow, yeah, this looks really cool.
It does. It looks really cool. Here we've got some gobbies. Gob.
Callow, does it look cool enough for you to actually do it?
Yeah, come on, man. Well, he'll do casual. He'll do casual.
We're gonna do story mode together.
Yeah.
And there we go. We get our first peek at the gear there at the end. Pretty cool stuff, if you ask me. It definitely looks really, yeah, like you said.
I can't wait to stick it to those Illuma gobbies.
Industrial. It kind of it makes you wonder how it probably isn't that Allegan, is it? Like it's
no,
not,
you're right, because he's a primal, so
right.
It's not like he's. Then again,
there's not much things Allegan about the hinterland, so I don't know.
Yeah, there really isn't.
I don't think he's Allegan.
Well, but hold on. How much do we actually know about his background? Because up until we had Ethis on the show, I didn't know that Bahamut was turned into a primal by the Allegons. Well, I just thought he was just always a primal.
Well, of course we don't know how he's being summoned. We know,
yeah, exactly.
That the gobbies are behind it.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
That's really all we know.
There's a whole. Who knows?
There's a whole litany of
honestly,
questions. Although
knows?
It is really cool though that the endgame area is not going to be Allegan inspired. There's a whole other, like the Allegan stuff has been shifted to a whole different area.
Right, it's all up there in Azizla.
Azizla, right?
Yeah, Azizla.
Coleslaw.
Coleslaw.
Wow.
That's what it sounds like. Azla.
Where's the C? Azizla sounds nothing like cold slaw.
Coleslaw.
They both have a la sound. That's it.
The slaw. It sounds like slaw. As a slaw.
Nika.
It's like the coleslaw of Eorzea.
I hate coleslaw.
Nika, I'm shaking
It's just
my head
as bad as calling more donuts.
No, it's not.
It's completely not.
It is so different, and I've never heard that either. Thank you very much.
You've never? Oh wow, we always call it more donuts in our link shows.
And then here's a better look at some of the gear that is supposed to be coming out of Alexander.
Quote unquote better look.
I'm not sure.
I think it looks fairly generic compared to stuff like Deadworm and.
Kind of agree, but then again, think you got to think that this is going to be expanded with time.
How do you think?
How great? How great did the first round of coil gear look? It was kind of.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I mean, for the time, it was pretty cool.
For the time, sure, but I don't think that that's a fair judge of it because everything else in Heavensward has been so awesome.
I know,
so
the
far,
body piece I'm wearing is from a random dungeon, and it looks so cool compared to I don't know. I kind of expected something bigger.
I don't know. I think it's okay. But you're right. A lot of the gear that's been introduced with Heavensward is so fucking cool.
I mean, because you're right. At first, the very first coil gear, because I just finished getting all of my sets from the very first one, and it is kind of bland looking. But just because it's a new expansion doesn't mean we should step back. They should always be stepping their game up.
Also, right. But I guess if you look at the color scheme and the shine of it, it's kind of like we're all part of Alexander's body. That's the color scheme of it.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right.
We're just into ripping pieces.
We're part of his legs.
We're super gluing it to us.
Metal off the outside, sticking it on our bodies.
Mika's like, I'm going to use this cog as a shield.
Yeah.
There you go. That catches you up on the latest news with Final Fantasy XIV, and as we become more a weekly show and more current news happens, you'll find that we'll do a little bit more of these current news segments right at the top of the show.
We're going to pretend to know what we're talking about.
Yeah, right.
Alexander does drop on Tuesday, for those of you. I don't think we said that. This Tuesday is when the Alexander story is coming out.
Also,
yes, which is when this podcast comes out at limitbreakradio.com.
So tell us in the comments what you think about it.
Someone from the chat, Carletta, says a friend of hers is watching and pointed to Juxta and said, "Why is that naked?"
Because when you got it, you show it off.
Oh, gross. All right, so let's talk about gating content.
And you know what? It's weird because up until this whole debacle surfaced, I never really thought of gating content in the way that they are, basically.
Right. Sure.
So that's weird.
Well, let's first talk about what gating content means, right? So when a game decides to gate content, it means that you have to fulfill a certain requirement before being able to access some kind of content. There's a lot of different types of gating too.
I was gonna say it's not always necessarily where you have to fulfill something. Like right now, raids, Alexander, esoterics, those are all gated behind
just time.
Exactly, arbitrary time.
Right, exactly, yeah. Arbitrary time restrictions, that's a form of gating.
Another form of gating, which I think is used most often in MMOs, and WoW actually does it quite a bit, is they will come out with an event, like a new area happens, and the server as a whole has to do daily quests, and once a certain number is fulfilled, you get to go to the, the kind of like how Mordona updated from time to time through patches.
Sure.
These areas would update as the community at large would get past certain milestones, like collecting resources and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And that would then, in turn, unlock certain parts of the newest raid.
Right. So
that's interesting.
That was actually a really cool thing that WoW did well, I think.
And that was probably
back in Burning Crusade. So it's something they haven't done in a long time.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it was relevant content for a year, and then it was
exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So with Heavensward and Final Fantasy XIV, Square Enix has made some specific choices to gate certain content. Specifically, the big gate that a lot of reviewers were complaining about. And by the way, I'm looking at you, IGN, as the most guilty party. But the most clear sign of gate, having to beat all of A Realm Reborn before having access to any of the Heavensward content.
Oh, you can make an aura.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say
right,
completely.
which is the master race.
You can be aura without beating A Realm Reborn.
That's okay.
And
fine,
I think you can get to 60. You just can't do the quest necessarily.
Well, no, but that's the whole thing, is all these reviewers want to review Heavensward, so they'll go and they'll buy it, right, and then log on as their level 1 characters. They've never played Final Fantasy before.
And they're like, well,
what the fuck do you expect, man?
Right, come on, hashtag don't reward laziness, IGN.
Yeah, I mean, that's not how most MMOs work.
Not to mention, especially for big ones like IGN, you'd think that they would have some way to, like, get a hold of pre-leveled characters or something.
Well, yeah, you would think, but the
or that they would know someone, or they could mess around on their friend's character.
A large focus of the review was the whether or not gating content for Heavensward was a good idea or not. And I mean, really, I guess if your only context for an MMO is WoW, maybe that does seem like a good idea. But I think that there are a lot of reasons that gating content is a good thing.
For Final Fantasy XIV, it's essential.
Well, I think you're right. I think given the narrative quality of FF14.
We all agree that Square Enix's strongest point in most of their games, regardless of gameplay, is their story. And to just kind of to realize that this is an MMO that actually has a story, I think that takes some people a while to wrap their head around. That this MMO has a story that has a beginning and it flows forward, and it doesn't just end after Realm Reborn with a whole new story.
And then come in, yeah, exactly. And it's not just that, but what Final Fantasy XIV has done is something that every other, really successful single-player RPG has done, but to my knowledge, no MMO has done. And that is, come up with a compelling, epic, amazing story that flows through everything. The main focus in WoW, when you hit level 60, it's raiding, like pure and simple. And even the quote-unquote story is doing the raiding. You don't really get cutscenes and stuff. You see the character standing next to you, and they have little dialogue boxes that pop up, and if you miss it, you miss it. But it's all about raiding. So if you come in the middle of an expansion, no big deal, just jump into the raids, right?
Right.
But with Final Fantasy XIV, if they wouldn't have had the gating content and you just, let me start Heavensward, you'd be saying to yourself, what the fuck is this little asshole? I don't want to walk around with this Taru and this girl. And then later realize, that's a guy. You would have no idea what was going on when they're talking about the scions and finding their friends.
Into raids, you realize that Final Fantasy XIV's raids all have a reason for being there. They all connect with the story. It's not just here's a raid, let's go do it, guys. You can't just jump into it because it makes sense in context of where your character is at the time.
Exactly. You're not going to go out and see the new Hunger Games when it comes out, are you? If you haven't seen the first two? No, because you'd go in and you'd be complaining, what's going on here? You'd watch the first two first and you wouldn't complain about it.
But is that really the only valid reason to gate content? I mean...
Oh, no. There's definitely other reasons.
Even if there wasn't such a strong narrative quality to Heavensward, I think that Square Enix, first of all, that gating content is a good thing because it forces the player base to have a similar context for how most game mechanics work.
Right.
How to play your damn job.
Right, exactly. I mean, a lot of people ask me when I was first leveling Dark Knight, are you leveling through Fates or are you leveling through dungeons? And I said, well, I'm leveling through dungeons. And while it might be a little bit more, while it might be a little slower and less efficient than Fate grinding, I feel like I'm developing a better sense of my job overall, and because this job is very kind of important to me, that I really do, I want to do this right, and so that's why I made the choice to level through dungeons, and forcing the player base to have a progression that's similar to that, not just delivers an important narrative quality, but it also teaches the player base similar mechanics, so people there aren't people who are jumping into raids going, I don't know what is this, what does the line on the ground mean?
Yeah, not to
that's
mention,
a different color from the other ones.
The other thing to keep in mind is if you're a new player, even if they didn't gate Heavensward content, the leveling process itself works as a sort of gating mechanism. You can't go do Heavensward until you're max level regardless. So whether you're going to be doing quests, dungeons, or fates, honestly, the main story quests are going to probably be your quickest way to 60.
Oh, yeah.
And they're gearing you through it as well.
That too.
I don't understand the criticism whatsoever. The only people that I think who would have a valid criticism would be someone who's already level 60 and is coming back to the game but doesn't want to have to go through the story. To me, that's a whole nother thing, though, why you would be playing this game and not want the story, because it's like one of the main focus and selling points of it.
Yeah,
but,
totally.
I just found out that some
know?
people in my link shells literally skip every cutscene, and it blows my mind.
What?
Yes, we were doing a quest and I was helping him through something. It's like, oh, I don't watch the cutscenes. I just skip. I haven't watched a cutscene since. And they said like some really really old patch.
Wow.
I was
Oh
like,
my
what?
God.
It blew
look.
my mind.
I'm an IGN reviewer, and I'm already good. I know how to play my class. This game is really easy, so just let me get to the part of the game that's new and exciting, because I've already done all this old stuff. I mean, I know how to do it, and it's not very interesting, so just let me play the fun stuff.
Well,
The old is old.
But if you know, right, then presumably you've leveled a character. Where's your leveled character?
Well, I can't let people know who I am, so I have to level a new character for my review.
But again,
gosh,
in cases like that, with the big name review companies, they should have access to a character that's already
have you
set
met
to
Square
go.
Enix?
Well, I'm kind of glad to hear that Square Enix didn't dole out 60 characters to reviewers.
I just find it hard to believe that none of them know anyone that plays this game. That they could at least sit with their friend for an hour and look at it. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
I think
nobody wants to admit it.
I think I think that reviewer in this case took the opportunity to criticize the concept of gating content.
Bigger headline than, hey, this game is actually pretty good. Look what's going on type deal.
I don't know that he went that far, but I mean, like, I think that was the center point of his criticism, was that, oh my God, yeah, there's a game there's an MMO that's coming out that still gates content, and it acted as if it's some sort of bygone concept from from an MMO era that we have moved past.
You know what? I don't know that I've ever thought about it that way.
That apparently WoW has moved us past the point where we need to still gate content, where that's still a valid thing to do in your MMO. And I think it's fine for WoW. It's fine for Blizzard. Blizzard can make that choice for their game. They also made the choice to hand out, max leveled characters too. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that Square Enix should then be under pressure to do the same thing or to have the same model for their game.
Yeah, no, you know what? Absolutely. I think that gating content, especially if you can find interesting ways to do it, giving the players something to strive for and work towards, especially as a community. Like I said, in Burning Crusade, what was it? What was the name of the isle that I'm thinking of?
Talk about it.
You're not even paying attention to me, are you?
I know. I am paying attention to you.
Okay.
What do you,
Burning Crusade, the Kael'thas.
Isle of Quel'Thas.
Yes, Isle of Quel'Thas. That was one of the coolest things, because the other thing was, too, because it was dependent on your community, there might have been some servers that were like 2 or 3 stages behind because their people weren't doing it or they weren't good enough.
Right.
And it also provided a sense of competition between servers and communities to see who could get there first, and that was super cool. That was one of the coolest things that's ever been done in an MMO. And if they could apply that kind of concept, like to Idleshire, which is supposed to be the new Mordona, how cool would that be? Like, if you were actually personally responsible as a community and as a server for helping rebuild this city.
But see, I feel like with the way our community is, if there's servers that fall behind, everyone's just going to transfer because they're going to be so mad they can't access the content. Like, I feel like they did it right when they did, what was it, the Little Ladies Day event? And if the people on each server had to go out and dig and do the event to get more dolls to pop up on the thing. Do you guys remember that? And I feel like that was nice because I was watching the Facebook group and people were like, oh, hey, my server has this many dolls, my server has this many dolls. But if you start gating the expansion of Idleshire behind community participation, I feel like people are going to get pissed off and just jump servers, and it's going to kill a lot of servers off.
Okay, that's a terrible example of gating content, because this is what happened. Everyone worked super hard to get all these dolls and fates or whatever, and then at the end of the day, I'm like, at the very last day, I'm like, oh, this thing's going on. I went there, did the quest, and I got the rewards for all of it. So I'm like, oh, I guess that was a thing. Thanks for doing all the work, you suckers.
I think that there are ways that they can get around that, Nika. And yes, inevitably, there will be people that are going to do that. But if you also put time restrictions on it, like you can't upgrade from one stage to the next in a week. Some people will get ahead or get to that content first.
Right.
But then they can't go so far ahead of all the other communities.
See, but
are you just punishing low population servers then?
They could scale it to how much population is on each server.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Smaller server has to get and only a certain amount of points or whatever.
What's the point at that point? Just like gate it by weeks then, because it's like
it's cool feeling like
it's
you
like
actually
so much
have a
development
sense toward
content. It's like, come on.
Well, no, okay. So here's the thing. I think a system like that probably works later in the development cycle for a game when you have a large community. But the thing is that we don't have. And again, this is. I mean, we're going back to the thing that I've been harping on for a long time. We don't have content that's appropriate for even medium-sized sub-communities.
We're going back to
within 14. There's nothing for free companies to do. So why make a server-wide, why make a server-wide thing before, making something for the size of a free company? I mean, if we're going to talk about gating content, I mean, this is kind of what it comes back to. I mean, there are other like we were saying, there are other examples of gating content, and a great example would be if the airship thing ends up panning out the way that I've been saying that it might, where it ends up charting a new area that you can go to and experience some kind of battle content there. That's another example of gating, because it forces you to participate in the airship building system to participate in the battle content. Yep. Which is, I mean, that's a strong incentive, and an important part of this whole equation is incentivizing content properly so that people are doing the content, clearing the content, and putting the necessary resources into the content as well. We talked last episode about the idea of pop items. Pop items are another example of gating. The popular example of gating that we've seen with Endgame has been the big
turns.
Turn
5, turn 9, or was it?
The T5 and T9. Yeah. And I mean, I guess you could call T13, even though T13 isn't required to progress to anything.
Well, when each set of coils comes out, you can't even get to like 7 without doing 6. So each turn is gated behind the one in front of it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but it's really when it's thrown into Duty Finder at that point, it's really only the big brick wall challenges, which are 5 and 9. Prior to that, it would be
in comparison to other MMOs. I guess I didn't realize how much that Square Enix actually does gate the content, because when it comes to WoW, like, they'll drop a raid, and the only thing stopping you from the end is just the next boss.
Right.
Huh.
But I feel like they do a good job of the way that they catch people up. Like we said, when things first come out, each turn is gated. Then it goes into Duty Finder, and only that one is gated. And now that Heavensward is gated, they freaking doubled all the XP, added gear, added all these other ways to get XP, and fast-forwarded everyone through it. So it's not even really like it's gated. All you have to do is get through it.
Yeah, the older stuff,
should they
obviously.
really have to get through it? I mean, it's the new expansion. Everyone wants to get to the new stuff, so why should you have to do the old stuff?
Yeah, it's not like they don't have time to do the old stuff now. Just give them the cutscenes.
This is the reason why.
Give us a story mode for main story quest.
This is the reason why Final Fantasy XIV has a number after Final Fantasy. And you know how many people have always bitched about, do the MMOs deserve a number? Yes, because now would you take FF10 and jump to the final boss? Fuck no. You need to read the story and understand what's going on.
What is this, Chrono Trigger? What the fuck?
This is Final Fantasy XIV. It's a numbered Final Fantasy. It has a story. Why would you want to jump to the end content before doing any of the story? It makes no sense. It's a Final Fantasy game.
If Minecraft can get story mode, I think we deserve story mode.
Story mode for already story. Wait, what?
But wait, people were saying that they don't want to have to do the story. They want to just skip over it and get to the rating.
Well, why shouldn't they be able to do that?
No. They just want the story.
They bought their expansion. Let them just fast forward through everything. They don't care about the story. They just want to get to the end game and the raid.
Because you know what? Because as a fucking reviewer, I don't think that that's valid. I don't think that that's valid.
If they don't want to review the story, then they shouldn't be held accountable for that.
And don't play a Final Fantasy game, which are famous for their stories.
No. Square Enix made the right decision for the community. They didn't make the right decision for whatever fucking reviewers wanted.
Okay, but at the same time, and this is one of the biggest problems I have always had with reviewers, not even just professional reviewers, but just people in general. I'm going to give you the best example I've ever seen, okay? When WALL-E first came out, my cousin went to see it and came back saying it was a terrible movie. Why? It wasn't what I was expecting. You can't judge something based on what you want it to be.
There wasn't any dialogue in that movie.
You judge it based on what you have, what it is. What were they going for? Like, that's one of the things that has bugged me the most. Like, someone who went and seen... So I've read a review for Sin City. Terrible movie. It was all just action and objectifying women. Then you were watching it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. That is exactly what it is.
Zombie movies are too bloody. It's bad. Bad movies. Too much blood in it. Well, that's what it fucking is.
Okay, so if the Final Fantasy VII remake ends up being a different game, and
Juxta,
aren't you reviewing it on the wrong terms as well?
I swear to God, Juxta, I will come
where's the line?
Dude, don't fucking push me. Don't fucking push me.
He's got a point. Where is the line?
We are not going to be friends after this. I am not even kidding. I will do something that will legitimately piss you off and it will ruin this whole episode. Don't you push me.
So don't be so darn butthurt.
Fuck off.
Logic. Okay.
Fuck off.
Moving on from that, we have DMG Atten from Sargentanis on the line, and he wants to talk about his Heavensward experience. What do you think about Heavensward and its gating and stuff?
Well, for me, it's a good idea because I got into this game originally because I was thinking since it was numbered, it'd be like every other Final Fantasy I've played, and I enjoy all the what I would call non-pop ones, and this is not a popular one either, but it's great because it kind of does the series justice, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's a fair addition to the Final Fantasy franchise overall. And one of the things that Square Enix had said when 1.0 was released was that, and it was so bad, and it was so critically bad, they came out and apologized and said that it was a failure on the part of it was a failure on a level of the entire franchise, that they had
pretty big
tarnished the franchise. Yeah. Which as saying that after the release of 13, that's a bold fucking statement.
13 was good though.
So you had to have fucked up.
Juxta, you're pushing all our buttons today.
You had to have fucked up when after 13 you came out and said, well, this game really fucked up. So one of the things that they've done very, very well with A Realm Reborn, and especially with Heavensward as well, is that they have it lives up to the Final Fantasy name 110%. The narrative, everything about it, it lives up to the caliber of Final Fantasy. And there was a Time article about Yoshi P that said this was the man who saved Final Fantasy, and I totally think that is a valid headline.
I've been waiting. I'm not going to confirm right now, but just to piggyback off of your point, I think that after I'm done with this expansion, this might beat Chains of Promathia for me.
Oh, really?
And that's a big thing. And honestly, I'm at the point now where I'm starting to come to terms with the fact that maybe it's the reason that I haven't accepted that yet is how much of a role is nostalgia playing for me? Because I still think to that final battle where me and Prish soloed down the last 20%, because for me, that's one of the things that made it,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this might actually be better than Chains of Promathia.
Wow.
Guys.
Yeah. And we haven't even gotten to the new content.
Exactly. We're only in the
second week.
The infancy of the expansion,
right?
Yeah.
Well, think of how much in terms of narrative. Think of how much it happened just in 2.5 alone.
Exactly. Yeah.
We've got so much more in terms of story ahead of us
for it to grow.
Yeah.
I'm so excited after. Oh gosh, you guys need to finish it,
guys. Chains of Promathia wasn't that good.
Oh, shut up.
I hate to bust your bubble, but it really wasn't that good.
The storyline was good, but the gameplay, everyone bitched about. The level capping and stuff was horrible.
The level capping was a pain in the ass.
The story
was really good. I liked it.
And Prish was creepy pedophile bait. It was really
okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, Prish was kind of...
She was a badass.
She was 4.
She could 100 fist and benediction. Come on.
I really don't need to hear about your 100 fisting
fetish. No, it's stop.
Hey, wrong game. Back to
Har,
this.
Har. We're not in the Sultana's lap, guys.
Anyway, thank you very much for the call. Much appreciated, and shout out to a fellow Sargentanite.
Sargentinian.
Sargentinian. I like that.
You're welcome.
That's good. I dig it. So yeah, I mean, like, what do you guys think? Will Square Enix continue to gate content? Will they make the restrictions even more tight on some endgame elements? Because think about it, we've got a lot of endgame to get through. For just as many story elements, we've also got battle elements that have to be added, and most of those are going to be level 60 encounters. They're not going to be main storyline encounters.
I think that so far up until the whole debacle between we have to do story stuff to get to Heavensward, I think that aside, they've been right on the money with everything they've done thus far. And even that, like, again, if you think about it, you need to know the story from 2.0 for 3.0 to make sense, right?
Sure.
So, again, I think they've been right on the ball with everything they've done thus far.
They could have added, like, some kind of, like, while you were away, this happened, and then everyone would be caught up to date. They could have.
No. I'm curious
Juxta,
how many
stop
people
talking.
don't realize that you're 99.99% going to have to finish the story in order to do Alexander. And I don't think people realize that either, because in doing Coil, you didn't have to finish the main storyline quest. It was like a separate storyline.
But to do Crystal Tower... in fact, going and
Crystal
unlocking
Tower, you only had to
Crystal
finish the original story.
Right, but yeah, in order to do that, like the story actually sent you over to where the questing was. So, but you're right. Like easy mode Alexander, you're probably gonna have to finish what they have of the main story quest right now.
Well, you're definitely going to have to.
And someone in Idleshire will say, "Holy shit, what's that thing coming out of the lake?"
Yeah,
Nika, they're so cute, aren't they?
Yeah,
they don't know.
You guys need to finish the story.
Just finish the story, guys. Come on.
You're just kicking both off the show.
Yeah, and so I feel like more people are going to bitch about that. Well, I have to do the story just to do the raid, when it's like, come on. Like, I don't know. I feel like that complaining about that in a Final Fantasy game is an invalid opinion. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I'm not. I mean, I'm not even talking in terms of in terms of main storyline quests, but I'm talking like, there's
the way they gated Coil. Are they going to continue to do stuff like that? And I absolutely think they are.
Not just Coil, but I mean, other end game. They've got to add more at the end game. Like this is
just one raid. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely think that they're going to keep finding ways to gate it.
I think they'll find more ways to do different kinds of, not necessarily primal fights, but similar.
Even imagine something like if they were to add something like the ZNM pop system. Okay, right, where you have different tiers that you have to get the pop items to unlock the next ones. Right. I don't think that they're ever going to, because Square Enix has always been a very big supporter of earning what you have, right? I mean, even if you want to pay mercs to get you what you want, you still can't just go right to T13, for example. I think that, you're absolutely going to have to prove yourself, and in order to get to these new places, they come up with a brand new event, you're still going to have to work your way up through it. You're not going to be able to just log in one day and be like, all right, hey, I'm going to pay you some money to take me through the final thing or get me the best item right away.
So forward endgame progression is probably going to be gated. Should the restrictions, should the challenge, should all of that be increased from a Realm Reborn? Should you, for example, like, are we not just going to be gated by, finish the end of the 4 encounters that we've given you for Alexander, and then you get the next 4? But like, is Square Enix going to come up with other unique forms of gating? I mean, we've suggested a few, like pop items and developing the airships to be able to go to unique places. But are there like?
I'd like to see new ways besides just beat this one or wait this long. Yeah. So long as they're not just the same things dressed up as something else, I'd like to see them get a little bit more creative about it. Sure.
Have like an actual reason to go and do a thing. Like, obviously, well, for Coil, it was like, oh, hey, here's a thing. There's a thing over there. Go and do that thing. Have actually have a quest line to like go up into it and then like have a like actually have like a unique story to it. You mean? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm
I think they're saying like ways that we haven't thought of. Like we've suggested pop items.
That's all we need to have is attunement.
Pop items already exist. Like we didn't think of that. Like they want something brand new, never been seen before in an MMO way of gating something, which we clearly can't talk about because we don't know.
Yeah, Juxta. I would just like to see.
Well, then
new
yes, we
ways.
should definitely do that.
But like they're pretty much saying Square Enix
do the thing.
What they're saying is get away from the mold. We like what you have, but like think of something new because otherwise we'll get bored.
Well, that's what I've been saying. Like on last episode, is that like you have your leveling and then you go into your dungeon, your end game raid or whatever. But it's like the same as Coil. Like you go in there. There's going to be 4 turns. There's going to be 4 bosses. And you get your loot. They do need to shake it up, like have like an end game zone or a pop system, or something like that, something that changes it up. Because at this point, I feel kind of bored with the way that the status quo is.
It's throw it up in Duty Finder and then just like
it's
another cool gating mechanism that I liked was in Final Fantasy XI assault ranks. Like it wasn't just beat something one time. Like you had to earn your next rank.
Yeah, you got
to
a bunch
get
of points
through the
and then you
grading.
can move up.
So it wasn't just getting an item to go through or getting a win to go through. You literally had to earn what you wanted, and I think that would be cool. You're talking about the airship things. If they could find some way to incorporate like grand companies into that, that'd be cool too.
Put some really baller airship parts at the very last grand company rank.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there's 3 unused ranks in there that
we told we were going to get at some point in Heavensward. So
I don't know
They said after 3.1, but that could mean any time. So.
Please look forward to it.
Yeah. 3.1 it shows up in 5.0. Like, you know what I mean?
After
we
3.1
really have to wait that long for more ranks.
After La Amigo.
So
we also have a Mesmar Okami from Melbourne server on the line. He wants to talk about what they need to change about blocking people from Heavensward content.
What's up, Mesmar?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad.
Thanks for calling Limit Break Radio. So what do you think of the Heavensward gating?
I was going to say, his tone sounds like he's about to rip a Nero a new one.
I'm excited.
No, my tone is I am totally bummed out because on Friday at midnight, my hard drive decided it wanted to take a shit when I was 600,000 experience away from hitting 60 on my machine.
Oh, dude, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
So, I don't get to play for another 2-3 days.
Speaking of gating content,
that's
what Square Enix like to do. Just blow up everyone's hard drives.
They tried that with 1.0. It didn't work. So pretty close to 60. You've experienced most of what Heavensward has to present. What do you think of the efficacy of gating the Heavensward content?
Well, I mean, I'm not entirely sure how Alexander's going to wind up playing a huge role as far as the story goes. From what I experienced with Coil, because I never did Coil, it seems like with having it so much of a side thing that it doesn't really need to be gated because it's got nothing to do with it's got nothing to do with the story itself.
That's untrue.
But
have you beaten the story?
Yeah.
I think she means Coil story. He said he didn't.
No. I'm talking about the new story. Like he said, with Alexander's not going to be connected to the main story.
No. What he means is Coil obviously had a connection to 2.0 story, but it wasn't something that was required to understand what was going on.
Right.
So I think what he's saying. Go ahead.
I never did Coil. So, I mean, and I've done all the 2.0 storyline, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in Heavensward.
Right.
So, are you wondering how?
I don't feel like I was missing something.
Yeah. So I think he's wondering. Sorry. He's wondering just how important the Alexander story is going to be to the 3.0 story specifically.
Is that right?
Right. Like the only thing that I've really seen as far as the connection goes to Alexander is with the Illuminati goblins or whatever they are.
Right.
Illumagabi.
The Illumagabi. Because that's what they should have been called. Right, yeah. And so, and just like Coil, it should be kind of like a a secondary storyline that you don't have to accomplish to get the full sense of Heavensward, right? So, like, as we progress through the expansion, and somebody just decides that they're going to pick up Heavensward after 3.2 comes out, but there's, like, considerable progress has been made on Alexander already. They don't need to do what's out of Alexander to be able to go through the MSQ quest through 3.2.
No, but it does, in order to get a whole sense of the world and like the entirety of what's going on.
That's not the main storyline.
I was going to say,
but that's arguable for Coil as well.
Right. This is different, though, because as much as Aniro is a proprietor of the fact that, not everybody should be able to do everything. You have to earn it. But at the same time, people who can't do it or don't want to do it shouldn't be punished for it. Would you agree with that, Aniro?
I don't know. I don't.
I don't think punishment is where I was going with that.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is that if Alexander was, like, intricately entwined in the main story quest, where if you didn't do it, you would literally be lost on it, that wouldn't be fair, because there are some people who are not going to be able to do it, or just absolutely have no need to raise
if it's going to be as easy as Crystal Tower, then I feel like they should.
The fact that they're adding a story easier mode and a harder mode kind of goes to show that because everyone is screaming, we want a story mode, we want the story. Here's a story mode. So I feel like if Square Enix is thinking, okay, we're giving you a story mode, everyone's going to do it, who's to say they're not going to intertwine it now?
In that case, sure, true. But going back to a concept like Coil, do you think that Coil should have been inextricably bound to the main story quest in a way to where if you didn't do it? I think in a way
it was. I mean, I think it was.
You don't miss out on anything by not... Like,
I'm sorry, wait, given what we learned...
you miss out, yes, but going into Heavensward, there's nothing in Heavensward where you go, wait, I don't get that reference because of Coil.
We don't even have the girl in Heavensward at all yet.
That's a fair point. However, though, you do learn a considerable amount about...
Yeah, I'm not saying that you don't learn stuff.
About the dragon race, about Bahamut.
I like Nico Tosca's analogy. He says, it's like you're saying you're studying world history, but not studying Germany.
Yeah, you don't need Germany.
You're learning the story of Eorzea, but you're not learning about the Calamity. Like, why the hell wouldn't you do that? I don't know.
Well, not just the Calamity, but you also learn a shitload about Allagans. There's a lot.
It's not about the legitimacy of that story. What I'm saying is that it's not a... it's not required to grasp the main story.
It does not break the flow of the narrative. I think that's what you're trying to say.
We don't know what they're going to do with Alexander, since they are giving us two forms of
no one
an easier
feels
mode and
lost by not doing Coil. But if you do Coil, it
then
adds
your story
extra
is
stuff.
enhanced.
There you go.
Yes, and I think that's probably. I mean, it's a good. They did that very well and very artfully with Binding Coil, and I think that they can probably do the same with Alexander.
But Nikki does raise an interesting point. If there is a story mode
with the easy mode,
where everybody should be able to clear it, then yes, at that point they could intertwine.
That is a good point.
I feel like Coil could have had a lot more story elements to it. I feel like it was kind of lacking in comparison to the main storyline quests in terms of like
it's
lore.
It's a supplement. It's not in place of.
I know. So I think coming forward to Alexander, which should have a presumably Crystal Tower easy mode, I feel like it should be more or less required to understand the main storyline at this point. Because who hasn't done Crystal Tower?
Yeah, but like how much narrative was there behind Crystal Tower though? I mean, there was.
There was some, but it was very small.
It was very, very limited in terms of
worse than Coil in terms.
Oh, absolutely.
But it was also the first time that they were trying that.
Exactly.
So again, all about with the new expansion, stepping up their game. There should be better storytelling elements in Alexander if they are intertwining it into the main storyline quest.
And they're also they had their hands kind of tied because all of the lore behind Crystal Tower had to like connect to Final Fantasy III in some way.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that's true.
I mean, they made it work. Don't get me wrong, but they also had to say, okay, this has to happen. They do have to go to the world of darkness. They do have to fight the cloud of darkness at some point.
Right? Yeah, yeah, that's true. They did. Yeah, I guess they did sort of put themselves into a corner there. But anyway, thank you very much for your call. Yeah, definitely an interesting question there. How connected will the Alexander storyline be to the main storyline quests? I guess we'll find out on Tuesday.
On Tuesday,
apparently, we'll find out when we finish the story, right, Nika?
Well, a little bit, but I think that we won't know exactly how
tease
it's going to tie in until we get the 3.1 main storyline, because Alexander's what they're dropping us right now, but until they give us the next set of story, we don't know exactly how it's going to tie in.
I'm sure there's you don't think that there's going to be a bit of a lead-in quest to
there definitely will be. And I mean after the credits you see a thing already, but what I'm thinking is that like the actual, I'm predicting in my head without spoiling where the main story quest ends up, and then when you see anything to do with Alexander, it's an after credit scene, so it does kind of feel separated from where the plot of like Ishgard is going. So
don't forget that I don't remember if it was the after credit scene or the very end scene for A Realm Reborn. You hear that roar and it's the Bahamut roar, so they sort of tease that content as well. So I mean, just throwing it in there as like just like a thing on the end, I don't think that necessarily means that it's 100% linked to the story.
The other thing to keep in mind too is that Square Enix, especially in Heavensward, they have gotten really, really good. They did a lot in Realm Reborn, but I think they did it better in Heavensward at splitting your focus and having multiple storylines running simultaneously.
Sure.
So what they could end up coming out with, in regards to Alexander or where the storyline is going from here, I mean, we might not even see what's coming. Like, okay, we know we have Alexander coming.
Right.
But it's not just going to be like, all right, here's our singular focus. Everybody do Alexander now, because we still have the stuff that's going on with the Empire.
Right. Well, we don't have as much as was going on in 2.0, because you had stuff that included all three of the nations and, and building the Scions.
We still have those. I mean, we're still trying to find our Scions.
That's true. Yeah,
so they've actually just added more on, because they can still send us back to old world.
But that's sort of, there's like 4 stories going on right now. Okay, our character is just trying to figure out which one to do first.
All right.
We do the one where the person says, "Hey, go over to Tataru. She's got a thing." Oh, obviously we're doing the story next.
Always do. WWTD. What would Tataru do?
But this, I think that this kind of transfers nicely into our next topic, which is the sense of wonder that you get from MMOs. I think that that's probably one of the main reasons that I play an MMO is I want to feel overwhelmed by the world that I'm in, that I'm taking part in a dynamic world that changes with my influence and the influence of the other players. And I think that's a really important sense to have. I mean, it's a cornerstone concept going back to the very earliest MMOs. And I'm curious how you guys feel Heavensward delivers in terms of a sense of wonder about the world that we adventure in. Does it truly deliver? Does it truly feel do you feel like you did the first time you played an MMO that you were like, whoa, have you had that moment?
Yes, there are actually parts of me, which is weird.
I do and I don't, it depends.
The very first time that I ever had that huge sense of wonder was in Final Fantasy XI when I saw a Crag for the first time.
All right.
Because it was massive, right?
And you're like, what the fuck is that thing?
Exactly. And exploring, I mean, it turned out not to be really much of anything, but still, the point is, it looked incredible.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
Happened a lot, through Final Fantasy XI because it was my first. But throughout all the other MMOs that I've ever played, mechanics-wise or story-wise, sure, I've gotten that. But I've never, again, had that feeling of this huge sense of wonder and, bedazzlement, right?
Bedazzlement? Wow,
I needed a new word.
Oh, wow.
Bedazzlement.
Holy shit.
And even in 2.0...
It's got that razzle-dazzle, huh?
Yeah, even in 2.0. Now, obviously, 2.0 was great, and the story was amazing, but there was never a point where I was just out and about, and I'm just like, holy shit. I mean, there's lots of stuff that looks beautiful, but at no point did I ever feel dwarfed compared to what I was looking at, until, in 3.0, getting flying. I think that one of their biggest accomplishments was that when you get flying, you think you know a zone, right? But there are parts of the zone that you can't see or perceive or even in your mind, contemplate what it's going to be like until you get flying. I feel like every single zone I've been through, once I got flying, completely changed for me. I know that Juxta thinks that getting flying makes a zone irrelevant because you're traveling through it.
Well, it kind of does. I mean, that's not...
There's so many extra islands and things you can't access without
It's
flying.
not even that, though. It's not even just to the points where you can't get to. They look completely different. I didn't realize how fucking weird the trees in Chocobo Forest was until I got flying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I actually
or
like
how
to
big
fly
the,
all the way to the ceiling till my chocobo
Yeah,
hits the roof, and then just look down at the realm. And
or
it
big
looks
how big the
ridiculous. It's
Annex
amazing.
Shrine was. Like yeah, obviously that thing looks big, but flying to the top of it, that is completely different.
And I have to agree to that.
Or how boring the Hinterlands were until you get flying and you can see all over the place. Like, that place looks amazing.
It does, flying does change the nature of a zone, but I don't think that Juxta's criticism that it takes the danger out of it completely is invalid. Although,
yes, that particular
although I have to say that when you're forced to adventure on the ground before you're given the Aether Currents through quests and through finding them, that the world still doesn't have that fucking sense of danger.
Sure doesn't.
Because you can outrun the monsters.
Exactly.
I thought it did, because I would always go and find the Aether Currents the very first thing I did when I got to a zone, and there was more than one where I was standing in a circle of like 20 aggro mobs, and I was scared because I couldn't run because I would run into more aggro. So
get good, Nika.
Yeah. Come on.
There was a couple Aether Currents where I actually felt scared. Like 3 of them.
Nah, I just whipped out my choke when we kicked their asses.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, the only time I ever felt like remotely threatened was when you're going to the Ravana stuff and you're in that Nath village.
Yeah.
There's tons of them.
And
but even then, I just ran through until I hit like a wall, and then I waited for like the 5 of them that were chasing me to back off, and then I killed the remaining 2.
Exactly. You know what it is? It's exactly. It's like going through the fucking Sylphlands.
Exactly.
That's all it is. It's just the new Sylphlands. There's no actual danger. Aggro doesn't actually mean anything.
Yep.
None of the mobs will one shot. Like all of the things that we were thinking, like as you develop zones, like that would be a really cool thing. None of that.
You know what? After 3.1,
all exactly the same.
3.1 and beyond, all the danger's going to be gone.
Yeah, and no, you're exactly
Square
right.
Enix is going to do a patch where instead of getting slowed, you get stunned and knocked off your mount. And be like, what now, fuckers?
So, but I think because of that, because they didn't make that shift on the ground game, that you're right, Kahlo, that when you do get flying, that it opens up the zone and you see it from a whole different perspective.
A whole new world.
Don't. Just stop.
Don't be shitty.
Don't.
I don't know the next line, or I would have sang the next line. I was hoping Juxta or Nika would jump in. It's too late now. You missed it, Nika.
Hey, you douchebag.
I didn't know you were waiting for that. I'm not in the room. You have to give me a clue.
All right,
I can sing the whole song.
From now on, I'll tap on my mic when I want you to assist me.
No, don't
do that.
Do not tap on.
Don't do
That's
that.
Bad.
But
That's
no,
bad.
okay. But seriously, going back through other MMOs, WoW, for example, when you get flying. All right, you can fly. No, nothing changes. You don't see anything you didn't already see before. You just see it from the air. But I think that they designed these zones in the mind, right? Like, okay, when you can get flying, now what do you see? Not just new islands that you can go to.
Sure, yeah.
But they wanted you to be able to see this from a whole different light and literally, like, do a 180 on you.
No, yeah, I think that that's a good point, and that it does add a lot to the zones.
I can't tell you how many pictures I've taken of that huge giant tower on Idleshire when I got to the Hinterlands.
It's Idleshire.
Yeah, Idleshire.
I like Idleshire.
No, Idle.
There's 2 L's, which makes no sense, but there is.
Isn't there a Y in it?
There's a Y.
IDYLL. Idle.
Idleshire. I'm pretty sure that's how they say it in the cutscenes too.
No, I'm going to call it Idly.
Yeah, I'm going to call it Idly now as well because you guys don't like it. Yeah. Brought to you live in the Idly Shower. Idly Shower?
Idle Shower?
Plus, we're Limit Break Radio. Since when do we care about how to pronounce stuff?
Because this one's easy for crying out loud, man.
Our GPS pronounced your name Aniro.
I do think that flying does present a certain sense of wonder, but is it truly the same thing as exploring a world? And I mean, because like once you get flying, there's kind of like no more nooks and crannies and like stuff that you discover in a zone. Like,
but there's so many. Like in the Hinterlands, there's a cave inside a waterfall. It's so cool.
Okay.
I think another reason that we've never gotten that from this game is the fact that we have aetherite teleports. And I think that that's something that takes away from the expanse of the world. Because this world is huge, but when you can just teleport to each and every zone.
Sea of Clouds is like 5... It's like they designed 5 zones, and then Yoshi P's like, okay, that's cool. I like these. Now let's stack them on top of each other and make it one zone.
But if you think of FF11, there was like 5 teleport points in the whole world.
Yeah, right.
And you had to teleport to one of those and then chocobo everywhere.
You want to
else.
go? You want to go do endgame? Go to this zone, traverse through 5 zones. Then you'll be ready to do endgame.
Walk, bitch!
Yeah, so
Walk!
I think, and as cool as that was to give us that whole feeling of the grand sense of the world, none of us want that back. So you have to kind of say what is worth sacrificing for convenience, and what is worth
You know what, Nika?
what is worth grinding for the sense of wonder.
You know what, Nika? Another way that I think that they gave that to us, and until now I had complained about it, but now it actually makes more sense. How many zones do you go into, and you're like in the corner, and you think, what? There's no other fucking aetherites? What happens when I need to go to that side of the zone? By putting an aetherite like down in the corner or off on the edge, and that's the only thing.
It forces flying takes forever.
Yeah, it forces you to travel a little bit more. I
don't think I've ever seen a hunt in Azaslaw that wasn't in Gamma Quadrant. It pisses me off.
Okay, well now, and to go along with that, like people are saying how once you get flying, you can see all these like new islands and stuff, and like little crevices you couldn't get to before. What's the point? At that point, okay, you go in the crevice and you're in there, and then there's like little 56, 57 mobs, and that's it. There's nothing in there. There's not a point to go there. It's just, okay, it's a thing there, but there's no point to it.
Well, have like a hit as its point. I mean, do you want to get poetics? Do you want to get poetics for exploring nooks and crannies?
Reward exploration. Have like a hidden quest down there or something.
You have a weekly quest. It's like, all right, I had a chest full of poetics out there somewhere. Go find it. And it's different for everybody, so no one can help you.
And they don't mark it on the map?
Fuck no, they don't. They don't even tell you what zone it's in.
Actually, that would be a fucking pain in the dick. Like, that would be the worst. Oh my god.
There's like 5 people that would do it, like, hardcore, and then everyone else would just be like, if I come across it, I come across it.
No, you know what would happen? After a week, they would have a map showing all the possible locations on it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, like, think about like when you're going through the Heavensward quest, and even once you have flying, and there's like this one point that a Moogle wants you to find, and you're like, god damn, I can't find this last fucking Kupo nut!
Oh my god,
Where the fuck is it?
Every baby Moogle finds the little tiniest crack to hide in, and you just can't find it. That's the worst.
Go Kupo crazy.
I remember one time Anira was going through this, and he's trying to find like some kind of plant for those damn Moogles.
Fucking
he was raging so hard. So I'm like, okay, hold on, Anira. I'll come save you. And I went out and I flew there, and I knew exactly the quest he was talking about. So I'm like, I flew over like this little hump of rubble.
This is 100% true.
And I'm like, is it over here? He's like, no, it's not over here, god damn it. I'm like, okay, settle down. I flew over to an abandoned building house structure. I say, is it over here? He's like, God damn it.
God damn it.
No, the best was when I was first in the training mist and I had just gotten flying and I was flying around, I found an Eskalia. He was in the rookery killing stuffs, right?
Yeah.
And I poked him, and then he sends me a tell with like a cry face. He's like, I can't find the last Moogle, and I'm drunk. And I'm like, all right, good luck. And I flew off.
Wow.
Well, it's not like you could have seen the fucking Moogle anyway.
Right, and I hadn't done those quests yet, so...
Screw him. But no.
So, all right, hold on. Now, I'm curious.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, and you've been playing MMOs longer than any of us. Like way back to what, Ultima?
Yeah.
The Black Knight.
Yeah.
You were the Black Knight.
Because that was original.
Well, back in those days, he might have been the first Black Knight.
No. Back in those days, actually, a jet black dye tub was really hard to come by.
Really expensive, yeah.
Yeah, so he was the original Black Knight. So what was your first sense of real wonderment in an MMO, and have you experienced it since then?
There was a lot of really cool things about Ultima Online, but I'm not sure that I ever got the sense of wonder from that. I got the sense of community from Ultima Online because I found a group that they had their own house and we all played together. It was the only time in my life. I mean, I was young, I was like 16,
impressionable.
It was the only time in my life where I've role played at all.
And now you tell us off for it.
The truth comes out.
And I did really scandalous things like host city council meetings. So, yes.
What was your position on this city council?
We were the Moonglow Defense Force.
Moonglow?
That's right.
How could the Black Knight be part of the Moonglow?
Well, no, the Moonglow was a city.
Oh.
Guys, I think I know what we're going to have to name our sister shell whenever we make one. The Moonglow Defense Force.
Oh god. Anyway, so no, that's what I got out of Ultima Online, and then I think the first real sense of like overwhelming hugeness that I got in an MMO was probably really, really early on with FF11 and going into one of those gigantic zones. For me, it would have been Constant Highlands early on. Probably not the crag so much, but just the size of the zone, the scope of the zone, just how overwhelming
the whole
world was. Like, yeah.
Do you remember when we first started hanging out in our dorm Merrill, when you were a Desky at midnight and we watched that 3-hour Tiamat fight video?
Yeah, I do. I do remember that.
The Blue Garter.
God. Yeah.
We're like, oh my god, I want to do this. I want to sit here and have a 6-hour fight.
Well, like, but no, I don't think any other MMO I've like gone out of my way to like to like watch something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know what it was about that game, but there was something.
There was something there.
There was something about it.
So have you felt it since?
In Heavensward, I just got to Idleshire the other day, last night, in fact. And yeah, I think I am. I don't know if I'll ever be able to have the same sense of wonder.
Right. No,
I think
that's true. It's hard to get again.
A lot of it is rose-colored glasses and nostalgia. But certainly there have been things that times where I've been like, wow, this is really, really, really impressive. And I think most of that comes from attention to detail and how much Square Enix has developed this world, and watching it develop from 1.0. And we'll actually get into this in a minute. I think that's been really the most impressive thing for me, is how well they've stuck to their canon. So that's what keeps me, I know we joke about my immersion and everything like that, but I think that really helps keep me into the game, because there's, as a 1.0 player, I'm still catching little nods back to 1.0, and I'm like, that's that thing. So, I think that's really important, and to support the world long term. But, back in 1.0, when I had first, when we had first played, I did not have that sense at all. There was anyone who played 1.0 or has seen videos of it.
What about with the destruction of 1.0? Because obviously I never played, but watching videos of people like standing there, like watching Dalaman fall, that seemed like that must have been really cool.
Well, I mean, like that, yeah, that moment, like the final moments, like it was plagued with a lot of server problems, but you did sort of feel like you were involved in something huge. And then they put out that the video on YouTube, and you were like, oh my god, that like you could just see like in your head, like, oh, my character's part of that skirmish. And that, I think that really added to my sense of like connection with the game. And I think maybe that was the first time I felt like I really, really, truly connected with the game. When they fucked it up. But the thing is I've got to give them so much credit. You look at the hinterlands, and you look at something like Idleshire, that is this it's the ruins of Charlayan,
of a great city,
and just small touches like destroyed aetheryte nodes around, because you can like then picture like, like that's I felt like that just gave me so much more of a sense of that place. And Square Enix's attention to detail like that, I think is definitely in their benefit.
Right.
So what about you, Juxta?
First sense of wonderment, and have you felt it in Heavensward?
I've been racking my brain trying to think of something, and my sense of wonderments don't typically come from like seeing things or the story so much. But one thing that does point that pops out to me was during 2.0, and how many like it's little details, like Nero said, just like how many NPCs were like talking back and forth,
right?
And just like the sheer amount of like character that this game had. And I'm like thinking about Heavensward and all the settlements there, and I don't feel it. I don't really feel like there's a lot of like talking and little NPCs talking back and forth. The only one that I can think of is right next to the Jeweled Courser, and like someone's talking about how their boyfriend played too much Knights and Knaves, and they don't have lemon cakes now or something.
All right, but let me ask you this, because obviously you've been really, really focused on poop stocking everything. Have you really been standing around in places enough to notice
I think that takes time to be able to notice little touches
to every
like
group
those.
of NPCs and see if a thing pops above their head. Like if there's NPCs I can't click on, I walk over to them. Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's what the thing. When you walk up to them, that's when they have the little text bubble.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, like, I don't think I never pay attention to that.
I always pay attention to that because it's always so funny because they have dick jokes all the time.
So prior to that, did you never have any like big wonderment feelings from FF11 or WoW, or did you play anything else before? Was WoW your first MMO?
My first real one.
Oh, okay.
What was your first actual MMO?
I played Ultima Online for like 3 hours, and then I got killed by a pig, so I just stopped playing that game.
That sounds right.
Phantasy Star Online might count.
That counts. That counts.
Okay, that was my first one then.
Okay.
Most of my wonderments come from like battle mechanics and like just like owning something. I remember in World of Warcraft there was like this boss that only druids could summon, and then it dropped a mount, but it was it was current content, so like you couldn't really solve the boss. But if you were a good druid, then you could. And well, after I started like doing that consecutively, then I was like, that's pretty simple.
When he finally got it, and he was one of those druids, and then they made it so that anybody could do it.
I was so salty.
Oh, I bet you were.
I was so mad.
Bet you were.
Nika, what about you? What was your first MMO sense of wonderment?
Well, the only MMOs I've ever really played are 11 and 14, and I think a big part of the sense of wonderment and why it's so hard for us to get that now is simply because we've played other MMOs and we kind of know what to expect.
Yeah, you
like
can't
when I started 11, I didn't even know what an MMO was. Like I picked up the game because it was a Final Fantasy game, and I jumped right into it, and I was
I think that's a lot of people's point of contact
I knew what it
for
was
11.
Because I remember following through like PlayStation Magazine
with
and
a sense
stuff.
of wonder. Like I guess my first real sense of wonder was I had met. I was very social when I first started the game. I wanted to be friends with everybody. I didn't understand how the game worked. I didn't understand why I couldn't pick up the home point and move it wherever I wanted it. I mean, it was like it was bad. And so I had met a couple of friends, and one guy's like, you know what? He's level 12, right? And I'm like level 10. He's like, I have every map in this entire game. I'm gonna lead you to Juno. And I was like, okay, sure, I don't know what Juno is. And we ran as level 12s through all these like level 30 mobs to get to Juno. I get there, he leaves me because he has to log off, and I get lost in Juno. And you know how easy Juno is, right?
Yeah.
Straight lines with the connections. I'm sitting there shouting, where's the Mog House? I'm so lost, where's the Mog House? And like people weren't helping me. I was so confused. And I think just realizing that there was this whole area I wasn't even supposed to be at yet because I was only level 10, like it just blew my mind.
I could see that being a little bit mind-blowing. Yeah.
Was that Senpai?
No.
Oh, darn.
He ended up quitting like without saying a word, and I never heard from him after a while, and that was sad. But it's just that whole world. I mean, what is it? Merifatod Mountains had the big dragon. Was that the mountains that had, like, the spine?
Yeah, the big dragon spine. Yeah,
all the way through the entire. And once I realized that it was a dragon and not mountains, I would like sat there for a second. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And so, but I feel like a lot of that was because I was like 15 and I had never played an MMO. Whereas in this game, I think of that and I'm like, yeah, that's a cool detail, and I move on. Whereas at 14, if I was 15 right now and this was my first MMO, I think my mind would be blown in the same way.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, it is impossible to experience that kind of thing twice.
Yeah, that's true.
But what's the biggest sense that you've had from Heavensward?
I think I kind of look at it from, I mean, I'm not a developer, but I tend to look at it from that point of view. And I sit there and I look at like the detail and like the cracks on like even in Idleshire right here, I'm looking at the platform behind us and like where the cracks fall off and like just who sits there and designs every little detail of like, this is a ruin, but it's livable. So like what parts of it are broken? And just the idea for me that someone decides all of these little details is really mind blowing to me. And along with Juxta too, like when Gold Saucer first came out, I ran to every single NPC to see what they said because they are hilarious. I still feel bad for the boyfriend and girlfriend who are waiting on opposite sides of the same room for each other, and they can't find each other because they're on opposite sides.
Okay, did you guys see the picture that I posted? Davey showed me that guy in Falcon's Nest that's just dangling.
Yeah, I still haven't even seen that guy.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of stuff that makes me think, wow, these people really, really put a lot of thought into this.
Yeah, and he's just tucked away on a side that you would never go to. Like he's literally right by the zone line. I don't even know how Davey found that poor bastard, but man, Square Enix, you better have a quest to save his ass.
But seriously, and especially Nika, and you can speak to this, especially comparative to 1.0. The world that they had made with 1.0 was just so devoid of all of that.
Yes, like it felt big, but it was a lot of repeated textures, a lot of repeated areas.
Are you guys
and
sure you
the
weren't just
little
opening the
character
right
dialogue
menus?
it didn't really make you feel like you were immersed in a town, kind of. So
yeah.
You know what? No, that's absolutely true. Immersion within towns. One of my favorite things when I first started playing A Realm Reborn was when I would get to just a town like Falgord Float or Quarry Mill. Like every single one of those seemed so unique and different from each other. It wasn't just the same tiny little establishment or settlement every time. Like they were seriously so fucking cool.
Yeah.
You guys were talking about how, like, until the world blew up, you didn't feel immersed in it. And I kind of, like, my first real sense of, like, these people know what the hell they're doing is when they saved the servers and then they had monsters and, like, the Empire, whoever was just, like, attacking all
everything.
Of the
yeah.
And you, like, whatever you did on your character didn't matter. They were giving out relics, like, from your dreams, and you were using them to fight the big generals who were coming into the town. And I was, like, standing there with some of my friends, and I was just like, holy crap, what is going on? This is fucking crazy. And then once they shut the server down and that video went live, I was like, this is real, guys.
Yeah.
This is happening.
And I agree. No, that end of an era video, that was the thing.
Goosebumps. Like, that was perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, something that I just thought of. Another thing that WoW did right. I don't know if they still do this, but whenever they were about to start an expansion, they would have huge events like that. Like, for example, before Cataclysm, Deathwing would fly around and just burninate entire zones.
Sure.
Everything one-shotted. Monsters, players, NPCs. Everything. And reminds me of what you're talking about.
I kind of feel like I wanted something like that to happen towards the end of 2.0. Like okay,
either the ending of an expansion or the beginning of an expansion, like actual events that you see reflected within the real world are so fucking cool.
Right. So I'll save. I won't spoiler anything here. But at the end of 2.5, when the Sultana is dead, they had they could have had an opportunity to throw Ul'dah into chaos and have that have the same sort of thing.
That assumes though that everyone has finished the story to that point, because if all of a sudden Uldah's in chaos and you're not that point in the
instant
story,
zone though or something.
Well, not even instant zones, but phasing technology that they use, where only you see
certain NPCs
or
running
maybe
around,
or maybe
NPCs are missing.
That works to an extent because they're doing that right now with certain content. But the thing is like, for it to be like an event where there's a big dragon's burning all the monsters, that's not something that only
not something like that. But something they could have done is have random fates spawn throughout Ul'dah, where they were like citizens of unrest forming mobs and stuff.
I don't know. I think that there was a point that they could have done that with 2.0 and just had it be very short term in the interim between.
Yeah, it doesn't have to last.
And one thing I think they could have done is maybe something with like a dragon over Ishgard. So that way it didn't really matter if you were that far because that was going on anyway.
Yeah, maybe.
Like something with a dragon destroying things and you could like see it in the distance even, I think would have been cool. But
yeah, but they didn't do that. Big server events, those were fun, and I think with 14, the first time that I really felt like that was at that at the
going forward,
end of an era.
I'd like to see them
do
that more.
I can remember my sense of wonderment with World of Warcraft when they were doing it might have been a Halloween event, might have been into Wrath of the Lich King, but they would spawn these little crates that were plagued. And if you went near the zombie event,
oh yeah,
and if you went near this crate when it exploded, you became a zombie.
Oh, okay.
And players could attack you, and as a zombie, you could attack players. And if you killed the player, they became a zombie.
Oh, that's fun.
And so it's like widespread zombie,
God,
and you could kill
everywhere.
You could kill anyone,
including NPCs, and they would become zombies.
And so everything, like towards like the end of the event, like there's so many crates and so many zombies that you couldn't do anything. Like quest givers were dead, auctioneers were dead. The economy collapsed.
You know what? That does remind me of one of the very early things that I had experienced in Ultima Online. That was just like that blew my fucking mind. There was a graveyard that was right on the outskirts of Britannia, and I remember one day someone in my guild goes, "Holy shit, guys, warp to Britannia." And we're like, "What's going on?" They're like, there are undead that are just coming in droves out of the graveyard, and they were just like invading the city, and nobody said anything on UO's side. Like, it just happened. Like, they just turned on the event and it was go time, and whoever was online got to experience it, and whoever was not there didn't. And I was like, oh, that was so cool. Like, nobody else will get to be able to experience that. There was also something else. This is legendary from back in the day of Ultima Online. I didn't experience this firsthand, but Lord British, who was actually
original name,
yeah, I know, right? But he was actually the character for the guy who created the game, Richard Garriott, would every once in a while deliver addresses to, like, he would sit there.
Yeah, that's cool.
His character would come out of the castle and he would issue an address. Well, there was one day someone figured out how to hack up onto the platform that he was and killed Lord British, and it was people went fucking crazy, and it became this legendary event. And apparently Richard Garriott was super pissed about it, like privately. Like, it wasn't even
like at that point, if I was somebody, I'd be like, all right, take the character out of the game now. You fucked it up.
I feel like if I was the creator of that and someone figured out how to do that, I would have thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I would have been like, all right.
The assassination of Lord British, that was like one of the most legendary things that ever went down in early MMOs, and that was one of the stories that I had heard told to me where I was like, oh shit, I need to be involved in this.
Actually, Juxta can attest to this. This is probably one of the most fun that I've ever had on World of Warcraft with him. Someone had glitched a high-level elite mob from like 3 zones over into Stormwind, right? Now, this was something that Tremus, this giant dragon, that's something that high-level characters could have killed, but the bug was, if it killed someone outside of who claimed it, i.e. level 1 players, it would glitch and its health would immediately regen back up to full. For like hours, it was just running around, destroying everything in Stormwind. And Juxta was actually, he logged onto a low-level character and kept running up to it to purposely be killed. And high-level players like, we need to get it into the castle, so like the king and all the guards up there would help kill it and stuff.
Right.
Oh my god, it was amazing.
Oh, that's funny.
It was so epic.
It was so good.
That's so funny.
That's the thing. Like with MMOs, the greatest stories that are told are the things that are completely unintentional.
Yeah, or like born of chaos, sort of like the end of an era was. You know, I think that those are very good points, and so I think that this kind of this jumps us into our next topic, which is the wonders of Eorzea. Maybe some urban myths. The big one going around right now, of course, is the airship that appears in various zones in Heavensward. Nika, you've done some research about this. What are your theories about this airship?
Well, let me explain what this is, basically.
Okay.
And I found it on the stream once, too, which was pretty cool. Basically, it's usually found in Sea of Clouds, but people have seen it in other zones. But off the border, when you fly your mount all the way to the border, hit the border, off the border you can see in the distance a glowing ship. And it looks pink to me, but I guess you think it's red.
Pink, purple, reddish.
It's like pink lights. It is a black ship with pink lights, and it has like oars that come out of the bottom and like spiky things that come out of the top.
Right.
No one knows what it is. It just flies around very slowly, and then it disappears.
I bet Yoshi knows what it is.
No one knows. Well, okay. Yoshi probably knows what it is. No one in the game knows what it is. It was just discovered one day. People started posting, what is this? What could this be?
Right.
And so, of course, people started popping up theories. What could could this be? The first theories that were coming out were things like, oh, maybe that is going to be our new 24-man raid on that ship.
Oh, come on.
That didn't take hold too strongly,
Yeah,
but they're
it's
like,
too
oh, well,
small.
Yoshi is hinting at future content. Yes, but I don't think that's where our 24-man raid is going to be.
Right.
A lot of people were thinking, oh, well, we know the Garleans are making a big airship. Maybe that's it. It doesn't look like anything
too
Garlean.
small.
The light patterns on it look a lot more elegant.
It looks elegant. Yes.
Some people were thinking it could be something with the Ascians, but we've never really seen the Ascians need a ship. They just kind of teleport around.
Right. Yeah. Well, wait a minute. Wait, hang on. Didn't we already? We did see the new the new airship from the Garleans.
You do see it in the later cutscenes.
The Agrius 2.
And so, but people are like, no,
And it looks just
the
like the
Garleans are making this big thing.
Why
It's
would the
gotta be them.
Garleans just have their ship randomly flying around?
And they wouldn't need a tiny little ship. Someone else had posted, I wish I had the picture of it right now, but Eden, was it FF8 or FF9 that had the primal Eden, and it kind of, it doesn't look like it enough, but someone posted a picture, whereas if you lay them on top of each other, the shape is kind of similar, but I don't think that's what they're going with this.
Well, because and we've already, we've had the flying primal that was Bismarck. I don't think that would be. I don't think they'd go back to that. It'd feel like a retread.
Right. There are two really big theories that I think are possibly both true, and these are the ones that have really taken hold. The biggest theory everyone thinks is, if anyone's ever played Final Fantasy IV, they have the lunar whale ship, which you use to go to space. The lunar whale, as you know, Heavensward has had a lot of reference already in terms of FF4. Like, they had all the pre-order content was FF4, and I pointed out before that the monk AF2 that's coming out is like a Yang outfit.
Almost all the AF2 is Final Fantasy IV.
Yes,
Final
it's
Fantasy
all
IV
based
inspired,
off Final Fantasy IV. And
Yes.
so I think that using the lunar whale as a reference would be a really, really cool idea and a nice callback. And so people are like, oh, we're going to get to go to space, whatever. And without spoiling, there are things after the credits that make this connect that in a way that I could totally see them doing this.
Okay. Yoshi P at one point said he'd like to take us to the moon.
Yes. And I think that it's quite possible.
Considering that Yoshi likes Mustadio for a machinist job.
I feel like, dude, he drops this shit all the time, and then we just kind of like
gloss over.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, well, of course he likes Mustadio. Okay,
Let's
go to the chemist.
We're gonna go to the moon, right? Yeah,
yeah. The moon sounds great. It's probably Dalamund. Come on. Get your head in the game.
There's one other theory, is that it was kind of a Noah's Ark for elegance, because people think it looks elegant, the light patterns are elegant, it shines like elegant, it looks like everything elegant we've ever seen.
I like that theory.
Is that when the earthquake calamity happened, they're thinking there's no way that not a single elegant escaped, and that maybe someone has said, oh, maybe there's a bunch of Alligans on there waiting for a call from headquarters that will never come. But I feel like eventually if they were still like awake and alive, they would have went back and figured shit out.
Did we, I mean, throughout the Crystal Tower storyline, and I'm forgetting it off the top of my head. Did we ever figure out what the Crystal Tower was designed to call? Like, remember, it was supposed to be a beacon for something. Did that ever get resolved? I'm not trying to draw.
Was it a beacon? I thought that it was supposed to just draw an energy, and it was just a source of energy. And when they said that it was a beacon, I took that more as like it's a beacon of hope for the Allagan people, like when they see the Crystal Tower.
No, because I thought the Crystal Tower was the entire reason that their calamity
of the Allagans could even open it.
No, yes, okay. I know what you're talking about now. The beacon was to the world of darkness, because that guy, what was his name now?
Nero?
No, the actual boss that we fought at
Zan.
Zan, because he made the pact with darkness, and I think that it was gathering up energy, and the beacon was to the world of darkness with this being that he had made the pact.
Okay,
I think.
I don't remember. I remember that reference being made to Crystal Tower, but I just don't remember how it resolved. That's all. Yeah. So
the biggest theory is that maybe there are a bunch of Allagans who entered sleep stasis on the ship, and they're just floating throughout space in sleep stasis, waiting for someone to wake them up and revive the Allagan race of people.
That would be cool. You know what I hope it is?
Interesting.
I hope this has nothing to do with Heavensward, and this is just the first of many teases to whatever 4.0 is going to be. Because we know that they have the story already, and so Yoshi's like, you know what? Little side project. I want you to work on this for me. We're just going to toss into the background. And
I don't know if they would do it tiny things.
I think
over the course of like
awesome.
a year and a half.
Yeah, I think that would be
especially
fucking
because
cool.
they're putting it in these zones. I don't know. I don't feel like
I think that would be cool because that would blow your mind. Because you know what's going to happen is we're going to end up forgetting about this until like 3.3 when they do some other tiny little tease, and we're going to be like, oh my god, wait, oh, remember the red ship? Remember that red ship? And then when 4.0 finally does come around, it's all going to make sense, and we're going to be like, why didn't we see this coming?
Well, we'll see.
Maybe it's just a glitch.
But you know, but that's a good point though. Is that rarely does something like this not pay off? And this goes back to what I was saying about the attention to detail between 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0, and how they are creating a cohesive world among all three of those that is still valid. So, you've got all of these different moving pieces, but you've still got, places, locations, and things from 1.0 that are making the transition to 3.0 and having a story impact. I do think that this is going to pay off in the long term because of some of the things that had been introduced with 1.0 that are just now in 3.0 finally paying off. Let's talk about some of these. There are other popular examples of like urban myths or urban legends surrounding Final Fantasy XIV. Of course, Sky Bear being one of them. That was much more of a community,
right? Yeah.
I
Community
think
generated
that's so
thing.
cool though when things just like a glitch happen and a bear gets stuck and people start to like worship him like a god. I think when a community comes together for that kind of thing, it's really hilarious and. I don't know.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, totally. And I mean, there are some other ones too. Like the kneel and pray.
Look, it works. Okay,
it doesn't work.
Excuse me, Nika. Just stop a minute and let me say something. Okay, I have never gotten a drop out of a dungeon by not doing that. Now, I'm not saying that it works every time, right? But every time I've gotten a drop, it's because I've done the kneel and pray.
But I never did that and got all the drops. So what does that mean?
I'm just saying, Nika.
Anyway, why don't you explain your...
Okay, so in order to increase
OCD-ness,
your chance at getting a drop from the Zodiac, and Juxta was the one that told me about this, you have to wait for everyone else to leave the dungeon, right? And then you target the exit, you kneel before it, and then you leave, and you have an increased chance.
Have you ever heard of superstition?
Yeah, that is...
Have you ever heard of
when a
shut
black
your
cat
face?
crosses your path, it's bad luck?
It's
the same thing. It's not real.
Well,
it's
you know
placebo,
what?
dude.
You know what?
100%
Before I
placebo.
met you, Nika, a black cat crossed my path, so I'd say that bad luck is pretty real.
Fuck you.
Ooh, I got Nika to swear on air.
Wow.
Woo.
I swear all the time. I don't know why you guys
Does she?
are so surprised every time I do that.
Yeah, no, that's not a big deal.
I feel like I never hear it.
Anyway, that's, I think, again, that's a much more like community-driven thing, and that kind of goes back to, an old urban myth in FF11, where if you crafted in a specific direction, you would have...
That was never disproven.
You would have an increased
I thought
chance.
that was true.
I
thought that was confirmed true.
We're not going to get into this. It's the wrong fucking game. But those are some of the... And then there are other things, and I have to wonder how many more of these there are out there. For example...
we just haven't seen them?
Yeah, that we've never picked up on. For example, Edda's ghost...
Oh, that's so heartbreaking.
Appearing in, in the Three Nations every once in a while.
Does she appear if you haven't cleared the original Tamtara or the...
I think it just... I mean, because it's so quick that, like, even if you haven't cleared it, like, you would think that it's just somebody's zoning, I don't think you would even think twice about it. Because it's not like a nameplate appears or anything. It's just the character model, and then it fades.
I love little things like that.
It
Square
fades.
Enix, keep doing these things.
Yeah, well...
Those are the things we like. We want more of them.
Bring back Sky Bear. I want to see Sky Bear, like, when I'm in Idleshire, just walking across the clouds before he vanishes.
But the thing is... Well, the thing is...
Give us a mount for Sky Bear.
A cloud that just resembles a bear.
Sky Bear mount. That's a good one. I like that. But, the thing is that we had to be told about Edda's ghost before anyone started looking for him, because nobody had caught onto it.
People said they saw it but thought they were seeing things because it was so fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is how that happens in real life, though. Like you don't just...
But you got to wonder how you got to wonder how many other things like that are in this game that we just don't know about yet.
Did you guys ever see the glitch that happened in the hinterlands? Right when you zone in those Norboy mobs, there would just like be a pack of them, like 20 to 30 of them in like a 5 yalm radius, and they're just packed, and people would just like zone in and start running, and they'd all aggro on one
I have
person.
never seen that.
I've never
and just
seen that.
annihilate him.
Never seen it.
No?
No.
Oh, maybe the chat can back me up, but I saw it and it was hilarious. I'm like, are these real mobs? Or like, poke one. And they all came after me. I'm like, holy shit!
Sense of danger.
Yeah.
That's what we need more of. It's
Yeah.
just random packs of stuff.
Packs of death mobs.
But again, there are these there are these things. There's these carryovers from 1.0 that some of them paid off in 2.0, some of them just now paying off in 3.0. And there's a great series of videos out there that I invite you guys to check out. The guy or the person, I guess, who does these videos goes by the Doppelgamer. You can find them.
I like that.
You can find them on YouTube. But they did a series of videos where they were able to glitch into parts of the 1.0 map that were otherwise, gated off with an invisible wall. And they found some really interesting stuff when they would. Now, some of it is like this, and here we'll put up the video, but there's not going to be. We don't need sound for this because it's mostly just someone walking around an area in 1.0. But here we go. We'll go ahead and play this for you. But
What
this
the
is
fuck that map, dude.
Yeah, that was the original 1.0 Thanalan map. But here we see the cerulean processing plant. This was not an area accessible in 1.0. They had to glitch past an invisible wall to be able to get here. You see this is what the cerulean, like when you zone into
Right.
North Than, this is the early version of all of this. These were sort of like set pieces that you could see off in the distance, but you could never actually access.
Wow, I wouldn't have realized that they actually designed.
They have it all textured enough for you to walk on it.
Oh yeah, I mean,
It's not just a visual in the background.
But it's not blue enough.
I think what will be surprising as we go through some of these videos is how actually complete some of these areas are. And and again, there you see from the distance what you would kind of see on the map. And just again, this is sort of like the prototyped version of what we got with 2.0. And there's some other really interesting examples that have now made it into 3.0
Juxta,
as well.
maybe this means we can actually go in the lighthouse castle.
I can't wait for the lighthouse castle.
Oh, come on.
What lighthouse castle?
Are you
The lighthouse castle. It's the giant lighthouse castle outside of Ul'dah in was that Western Thanalan? Yeah, see, she knows what we're talking about. The lighthouse castle.
there.
Yeah, I actually get angry when I find big towers with doors that you can't open. Like, I want to go in these things. I guarantee you that there's a walkable space inside of them.
So there's an example of like one of the 1.0 areas that ended up getting redesigned. Here we have another area, the Silda Waterways, which this was actually a part of the Copper Bell Mines zone, which was not a dungeon. It was just a zone that you could walk.
Ooh, that's really cool.
I remember that.
That you could walk into. There were like a couple of NMs that spawned back there.
Are these then the aqueducts that we leave through Ul'dah at the end of 2.5?
That is absolutely correct. This is the escape route that you take with at the end of 2.5.
Maybe Minfilia is still down there.
Well, this was 1.0, and Minfilia just wore the underwear top.
What?
Minfilia's outfit in 1.0, she just wore like the underwear top as her top.
So
yeah.
So
All
here,
right. All right.
all
right.
you see, this was part of the Copper Bell
Reminds
map.
me of the Maze of Shakrami.
And of course, blown through the wall, here we get to the Sildan Waterways, which obviously not much here when you get there, but because it played such an integral part of the storyline of 2.0, thought it was
that
definitely
is really
something
cool.
worth checking out there.
That's so cool that there's even. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of texture, but you can see the water, and you can see like they put all of this detail in. And I was wondering, like, if the game had continued on the path it was going, would we have come to this place eventually?
Well, and I mean, I think you can ask that about a lot of these areas that never ended up getting used, but existed on the map. There was definitely probably some story that existed around these places, and I would have been very interested to know what the original intention of some of these were. But here we go. We've got there were also some areas that you could get to that we never got to see again.
Mm-hmm.
Partially, some of them because of the calamity and other things. Here we've got an area called Sandgate.
Those maps are terrible.
The maps are.
You have no idea.
The maps are just awful. But this was another inaccessible area called Sandgate. In fact, this is a part of the map that has been completely wiped out because of the calamity. Is now a part of the burning wall. I mean, like really, like this got severely fucked up. But this is what was there, and a lot of these, of course, they're not necessarily dungeons per se, but they were probably designed much like how Copperbell was originally designed, where it was just an open zone that you go into. Wasn't many bosses. Maybe an NM would spawn there or something, because a lot of these are very very small, compact zones, and clearly not meant for a confrontation like maybe on the level like Zamel or Cutter's Cry that were in 1.0. Which you go back and you look at those encounters. Those dungeons are massive. Like those are huge dungeons. Zamel isn't like how it is now, where it's just one big straight line. There was a lot of different paths that you could go off on. Here we see lots of and again, this is all stuff that was made. It's all in the game, ready to go, and you got to wonder what was the initial intention for some of this stuff, because not all of this stuff is irrelevant. Some of it, as we'll see in a few minutes, is making a comeback for.
And I mean, it actually kind of blows my mind that they had the Sylvan Waterways as a place to walk around. I feel like, because that was a part of the Uldal lore you don't learn for a very long time. And that if they had that initially, I'm really curious how they were planning to play that out.
And you only really learn about that from the Hildebrand, set of quests. But you gotta think, like, how much of this lore was already written when the new dev team got put into place, and then how much do they have to work with?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like how much of the world, did they design much for Dravania? What was the, because it was there, it existed on the Eorzea map, but what was the original intention for this? And I would be really interested to know how much of the original design document for Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 still remains relevant, because so much of it has to. That world, they built on top of that world. They didn't just make it irrelevant or non-canon. Again, this is Sandgate Mines, a place that was blown off the map in eastern Thanalan, which would now be part of the Burning Wall. It is effectively rubble now, and let's see what else. Again, these are all videos that come to us from
the Doppelganger.
From the Doppelganger.
It's such a cool name.
Now here's one that I thought was kind of interesting. This one right around the Isles of Umbra, which we know now we've got to take a ferry over to get to the Isles of Umbra. But at one point, all of those islands were kind of connected with a series of bridges
and terrible maps.
Well, that kind of goes without saying. In one of those, you had this area, which the person has labeled Umbra Cove. But this, I think, is really interesting because I think this shows some intention here. If you go to where roughly this would be on the 2.0 map, you'll find the Saspa spawning grounds. And what you'll see through this, video is that there's actually quite a lot that's been laid out in here in terms of, a design for a zone. It's rather complete. None of these things are incomplete by any stretch of the imagination.
But there was an NPC at this one.
Sometimes NPCs blocked your entrance and also gave you names for the location. Sometimes they would name the location, and that's gonna be key here in just a moment. But as we see, running through, there's obviously these big long tunnels, the intro tunnels that would exist for a lot of these dungeons. But you'll see that it'll come into an area that kind of reminds you a little bit of Sestasha and the kind of like pirate built up elements of Sestasha. But then you'll also notice that there will be Sahagin flags around there too. So I think the original intention for this was to be maybe not as the doppelganger has labeled it, Umbra Cove, but that this originally was supposed to be the Sapsa spawning grounds.
Well, remember too. Actually, you might not know because I don't think
or Sapsa.
You haven't done the Beastman tribe quests, right?
No, I haven't.
But one of the reasons that the Sapsa spawning grounds is so close to the settlement and because they're warring is because the spawning grounds, especially because of the Calamity, have been destroyed, and so they have no choice but to move if they want to continue to survive.
Oh, okay.
And so they're now encroaching on Limsden territory.
Okay.
And that's actually addressed in the quests.
So, I think you could look at something like this as like the progeny for that entire storyline. And, here is where the spawning grounds would have been tightly contained. And again, the only identifying marks that we have to go by are banners. These aren't populated with NPCs. We don't know what the intention was there. Banners and general design of the zone are the only clues that we have. But given that this was so deep into the Umbra territory and it also had elements of the Sahagin, I think that you actually could put forth a pretty solid argument that this was the early intended version of the Sapsa.
And you're right. There's a lot of pirate stuff.
Yeah, that's
there
definitely Sestasha stuff right there.
Yeah, a lot of elements like straight out of that we still see in the game.
Like the things you can walk on and platforms and everything.
Yeah, platforms. There were 2 buildings off to the side. I kind of wish that they had walked in and explored those. But here, now we start see all the Sahagin stuff, the Sahagin
banners and the little the little torches that they have.
In 1.0, they had Beastman banners in all the different areas where Beastmen were populated. So
exactly,
it's a big clue.
Yeah, I would say that is a pretty good indication that again, geographically, thematically, it all sort of fits together. So you can see sort of an early version of that. And again, all of this stuff is stuff that paid off, except for maybe the Sand Gate, which was completely wiped off the map. But there are other examples of that too. There was Cassiopeia Hollow in Lenosia that was completely wiped off the map due to the Calamity. And so like the fact that they've held to all of this is super, super impressive. So let's move on from that into some stuff that actually kind of made it into 3.0. Now, early on in the 3.0 expansion, in Heavensward, there's you get sent immediately to Falcon's Nest out in Western Kurthus, and they talk a lot about the history behind Falcon's Nest, about the Calamity, the push. The push eastward into the Central Highlands, trying to avoid the snow and the harshness of the Calamity, the harsh conditions that were created by the Calamity. And so here's this video that I really gives you a great sense of what was there in the 1.0 Falcon's Nest area. So there we go. You see it off the map in the western part of the Highlands.
There's no snow.
There's no snow. That's I think the first big noticeable thing. And you've got a fairly sizable tower over there, and I think you actually see the remnants of that tower in part of the zone, if I'm not mistaken. But again, 1.0 was criticized being largely for being unpopulated, widely spread out, not a whole lot of interesting things to look at.
It looks more like countryside.
But this is what this. I mean, there's literally an NPC that says, "Well, the original camp is still here. It's just buried underneath all that snow."
Yeah,
this is what they're talking about.
That's actually really cool too. The busted aetheryte you're talking about halfway up the zone map.
Well, that's different. That's different.
Oh, okay.
No, this is Falcon's Nest. This is literally what should be underneath.
Oh, wow, that's not very big, is it?
No, it's not very big at all. But I actually want to just back it up here real quick. Look at this right here. The sign above whatever this guild house is. It's a pair of antlers. And a lot of people clearly this is never going to play a part in FF14 proper, but again, like, who knows what the intention was there.
Clan Centurio, Red Mage.
Antlers equals red mage, apparently. So there's just an example of again, a reference that we've gotten that's sort of paid off. Here's one that I kind of wonder if we're going to end up seeing as we move forward through Heavensward. Now, this is a dungeon area that was inaccessible in 1.0. While it shares the name, it doesn't share the name. It's got a similar name to another one of the 14 dungeons that we've seen with Heavensward. This one's called the
that would be Airy. I believe you pronounce it Airy.
Airy?
I think you would pronounce it Airy, but it's spelled differently than the Airy that we have. And this is a location. Irie. Okay, all right. Again, this is an area that existed in the northwestern part of the Korthus map, was blocked off by one NPC who actually does call it the Airy or Irie. There you see, there's the section of the map. It's actually a section of the map called the Lance. And actually, just for a little bit of context, just to give you guys a little bit of context, down here is where we see Banepool. Let me back that up here. Over here is where we see that's the Twin Pools. So that's the vast majority of the Western Korthus territory that we have now. And I would say where the Steel Vigil, like the Steel Vigil was about maybe over towards maybe the teleport point on the lower right hand side of that map. But where we have Steel Vigil now is actually more towards where that second rightmost pool is on this map. So this is something that exists a little bit farther north of the existing territory that we get. But as with all dungeons, the entrance to such things can be kind of different from geographically where they're located. But again, this is one that I wonder if we'll end up seeing. This will end up being a future name for a dungeon that we'll end up getting down the line. Now, Korthus had several of these. There was not just this, but there was another dungeon we'll talk about in just a second, and that actually did make it into 3.0. But the Korthus dungeons are interesting because we did actually see one Korthus dungeon in 1.0. That was the Zymal Darkhold, and in that, we got to see, we didn't get to interact with any Ishgardians, but it was a very similar encounter to what we have now, where the Void Scent were coming up because of something that the Zymal clan, the Zymal family had unlocked. Zamail family had unlocked in the Darkhold. Right. And
I thought they dug too deep or something.
They did. They dug too deep. The original intention for the zone or that area was to act as a refuge from the Dravanian War. Yep. And they ended up digging too deep.
Demons.
And unlocked Void Scent, and that's where you get the eye, and you get that follows you around throughout a significant portion of the battlefield. You get these big stone circle doors. That is a big characteristic of all of the Korthus dungeons as well. We'll get to that in just a second. And and so you got to see a little bit of what was laid out for something else. Now I think the what's laid out here in the Eyrie is pretty similar to what you saw in Zamel, but just kind of scaled down. Zamile. But just sort of scaled down. Here we actually see a little bit of a third person shot and maybe some confrontation areas that would have been in there. But it remains to be seen whether or not this will end up becoming a dungeon moving forward. But let's talk about something from 1.0, an area from 1.0 that actually made it into 3.0. Now, this is really interesting. There's an area of the 1.0 Kurthus map on the eastern side that had a blocked off area that we'll see here explored in just a moment that was called, by the NPC, Henger's Crucible. And
it's a cool name, by the way.
That is, if anyone has been exploring in the Sea of Clouds, that is a name given to a location just outside of the dungeon that exists in Sea of Clouds.
Really?
And I'm now forgetting what the name of the dungeon is. The one that's up in the kind of the northern corner.
I don't know that I've been in that dungeon yet. Never Reap. That's it.
It's a level 60.
Okay. And so the island that is floating right next to it, and it's actually a pretty unassuming island. There's not much that happens on there.
Is the Sea of Clouds something that lore-wise has just recently rose into the clouds?
No, I don't think so.
But this place used to, in 1.0, was on the ground?
This place, yes. Whatever this area is, the NPC outside of this. Now, this is the very northeastern section of the Kurthus map. Right. So we're talking about areas that have not we haven't seen these. We could see these maybe in the 4.0 expansion, but. Yeah, this is...
wait. So this was a 1.0 hidden area. Okay, never mind. I was going to say, so in 1.0 it was on the ground and now it's in the air, but they just recycled to use it in the air instead.
I don't know. I think given the attention to detail, which I think that's been kind of the... thesis, if you will, for this entire discussion is Square Enix's attention to detail. How did Henger's Crucible, which was a 1.0 ground location in East Kurthus, how is that in Sea of Clouds now?
But again, this wasn't accessible.
Right.
Okay.
But there was an NPC that named it.
Right. So I think that the Crucible is probably quote unquote still on the ground, but if we're ever able to go there, they'll probably remake it and not reuse this because they've now taken this map or this skin and used it up in the Sea of Clouds.
Well, no, but I mean, like this area isn't up in the Sea of Clouds. The thing that's actually up there is just a pretty, like an island with a fucking sprite on it. Like that's it. Like there's nothing there, but it's marked on the map as Henger's Crucible.
Oh,
it's marked on. Yeah.
So technically, it has rose up somehow. Then
I mean,
we don't know.
The chat is saying that the Sea of Clouds is a thing that comes from the Calamity. When you first get there, the NPCs tell you they're still.
That's not true. The Sea of Clouds. No. That's not true.
The NPCs do tell you they're still charting the maps for that area, though, don't they?
But the Sea of Clouds was not entirely created by the Calamity. And the Sea of Clouds was listed on the Ishgard map, on the Korthus map, as the bordering area, even going back to 1.0. It was listed as the Sea of Clouds. And I mean, that it does raise some pretty interesting questions. Is there land beneath the Sea of Clouds, and what is it?
So maybe the Sea of Clouds was there before, but the Calamity added more to it.
Maybe the Calamity allowed the people to explore it better because
I don't know.
Why? I mean, if the Sea of Clouds has been there forever, why would the NPCs have not explored it by this point in time? For it to be something they're still exploring.
That's a good question. I mean, that's a good question.
So maybe the Calamity or Bismarck or something has created like, I don't know, smash something that gave people more access.
I was thinking, somehow related to Bismarck, or
there must have been some of it that was there, because someone pointed out that the Zandu myth, which, in order for it to be myth, it has to be pretty old,
right,
states that Bismarck rose them up to save them from something or other.
Well, and I mean, there's been a lot of different calamities. So
this is true, yeah.
Was Sea of Clouds born out of some calamity? Probably. Our calamity? Probably not.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
Now, what I do think, or the question that I have is that, because Henger's Crucible is in Sea of Clouds, does that give some kind of indication, some kind of clue as to the fate of East Kurthus? Did something happen in East Kurthus in the subsequent calamity that could have sent part of it up into the Sea of Clouds? Or is there some unique aspect to the Sea of Clouds, something that elevates that part of land that happened in East Kurthus? Because if you notice, all of the land in the Sea of Clouds, all of that is, like, on the bottom is very, very bright green. It glows kind of greenish, except for Henger's Crucible. Henger's Crucible doesn't have any green on it. It has very little green as it's like getting close to Neverreap, but that's it. Like, I really, guys, this is it's a small section of the map, but go check it out, because the fact that this was an area in 1.0, it was named in 1.0, it had an NPC name it in 1.0, and it had full development all the way to the end of this dungeon. Now, this person has been running for a very long time, and see what you get at the end? You get a door.
One of those fucking doors.
You get one of
that we found in the Forelands.
We get one of those fucking doors, and then look at what's on the other side of it. It says this is like among these like 1.0 zones. Whoa. This is one of the more developed ones.
Huge.
You get some of these, like, it looks like some of the Dravanian stuff that they stuff like the carapace stuff. You've also got like broken eggs here, remnants of eggshells. I think that this was supposed to be a very important place in terms of the narrative of 1.0. They set something very important up to happen here that never got fleshed out. And if they're bringing the name back, I have to think that it's fucking important. I have to think that it's important because their attention to detail has been immaculate. And why would you retcon something like that? I think that this gives us some kind of inkling into the fate of something that's going on in the eastern part of Kurthus.
I'm looking forward to that now. Good find, Anira.
Good eye.
I really sad that I wasn't more into 1.0's lore to be able to make all these connections too. Like, it's so cool.
So again, on YouTube, make sure that you follow the Doppelgamer. There's a lot of other videos like that that are worth your time checking out if you're curious about the development in 1.0 or unused areas in 1.0. Really fascinating stuff, and we'll have a link to that on our website at limitbreakradio.com. But again, so that circled door at the very end.
So if you go into the Forelands and you fly to the northeast corner, there are a cave that you can go into that has a door just like that, and then just a little bit to the south of it, you have to have flying to get to this part. There is, within the mountains, a giant tower and another door, just like down there. And by the first door, there's also a giant, like, huge one that we were wondering,
what's that going to be for?
Are they? Yeah. And I actually wonder now if someone were to bug through it, if there would be something on the other side.
There might be. Huh. There very much might be. But I think again. So the fact that it's a circle door, I don't think necessarily says anything, because we've seen those circle doors going back all the way
everywhere
to Zymel. Well, but they're Kurthan.
They are Coerthan,
yes. They're Kurthan, and then, there's that whole part of the Dravanian storyline where, the dragons and men were, they would live in harmony, and I think you get some of this, they even said, in terms of the story, the reason that the architecture is so similar is because, this is the genesis of it. Yep. So I don't think that necessarily means anything, but little things like that, I think, will have a payoff. When you find little things like that in zones, in the long term, they'll end up having a payoff, and hopefully a pretty big one. So all of this pontificating that we've been doing about the airship and all of that stuff, I think is I think we've laid out a pretty good case case that it's going to have a pretty big payoff in the end.
Yeah, excited for that.
So we are running a little bit long here, guys.
Yeah, we are.
That conversation took a little bit more time to get through than than I thought it might. So why don't we
real quick before we get into emails, we have a caller patiently waiting for Ryoko. Ryoko of Sergeant Tannis.
Hey, what's up, Ryoko?
Hey guys,
how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I've just finished getting to level 60 and finished the storyline just before this show started.
Nice. Congrats, man. Congrats.
I hope you're ready to grind law tomes, because that's what we're doing.
That's the name of the game now.
Doing.
Well, I spent all my money to get the eye level up there, even though I still got my Zeta.
What? Why spend money? Don't you just have someone who can just make you all the gear that you need at cost? Because that's what I did last night.
No, I'm not that fortunate.
I got the chivalric code of scouting or whatever it is. That looks really sweet.
Yeah, once you get to like 56 or 57, though, there's a dungeon weapon as well as storyline weapon that's better than the Zetas.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely don't have your Zeta at this point.
Yeah.
I haven't been lucky enough to get the drop, so my Zeta's been with me throughout the whole journey.
So now, Ryoko, what do you think? About the discussions that we've been having today. What do you want to weigh in on here?
Well, first I want to nitpick something with you and remember when you were claiming that you were the one that called about the new jobs not getting the Zetas? Actually, you and I had this discussion a year ago, and you were calling me crazy when I said I didn't think that the new jobs should have to go through all the work to get a Zeta.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so Nero changed his opinion at some point, huh?
Well, no, I mean, I think it would have been nice if they had included Zetas for the 3 new jobs. I would have done the work to get a Zeta out of that.
Begrudgingly?
No, I think I would have done. I like doing old content as Dark Knight. I think it's fun.
They didn't give you guys AF gear either, I'm hearing.
No,
but that's because they already gave it a neat design. We're going to be getting the AF3 or whatever with the esoteric tomes,
we'll get
and
it.
They didn't want to give them like 3 sets of AF right out of the gate.
I would be salty about that.
No, it's fine.
I would be.
It's fine.
I'm surprised they gave Ifrit, Garuda, and Titan weapons, to be honest.
But anyway, the reason I was saying that is because I was certain that Square Enix was going to make having a Zeta a requirement for expanding on your relic weapon, which obviously they've decided to go a different way with.
Yeah. Well, getting back to the main discussion, I do think the current way they're going with Gaiden is good as it is, because as now it's like you're gonna have your casual players with their own difficulty for getting through content, so they can experience the content at their own pace, which is good for them. And then you'll have the savage mode for the really hardcore people that want the challenge, that want the hardest challenge, and you can build upon that without needing to shackle other people into doing it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really great point. Basically, I think that, and Nero, you've essentially pointed this out too, that when you have Coil, which was made for, the Nikas of the world, and then you had your Crystal Towers, which was sort of an easy mode, and as much as we didn't want there to be a story mode for Alexander, it's probably going forward the best way to satisfy all people is to have the Crystal Tower story mode be the baseline, and then give a harder version of it for the Nikas of the world. But to also properly reward that content as well, because that was part of the problem that with Savage Coil was that it was the most challenging content, really the only challenging content all the way through the end of 2.55 all the way to 3.0, but there was no incentive to do it. There was just a title. Yeah, but the title is that's really shitty.
And once you do it once, you win, then you got it.
Yeah, if they had put like some kind of gear along with it, properly incentivized it, then I think
a lot of the titles weren't even that good.
Yeah, exactly.
Avatar is good. I want that one.
All right,
only because
one of them.
you like the cartoon. That's it. That's it.
You're like a children's cartoon. Congratulations.
But I've noticed that people wear them kind of as a sense of pride because
that's what they are.
Savage T7 is the hardest one out of all of them, and so I've seen a lot of people wearing the Melusine Marauder just to kind of prove that they beat it.
Sure,
so,
but I mean, like, I think this way, it says, okay, fine, you bellyachers who just want the story, you can have the story, and then the people who want the challenging content, we're going to properly incentivize it
with
this time.
gear.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's fair. Yep. That's totally fair. If somebody wants to whine and complain, I don't get to dye my gear, and I don't want to have to work to dye my gear. Fuck off! Like, seriously, that is just. That bothers, because they're probably going to give you the dyeable version of it anyway towards the end of the expansion anyway. So just shut up.
Shut up.
And get good.
Ryoko, anything else to add here?
Yeah, most of that I think is also due to the fact that since a good number of the Final Fantasy 14 community came from 11, so they're not really, unless they played other Western MMOs, it's a totally separate idea that they came with. But I mean, for also when it comes to wanting people to see all the content, you also got to look at it from a developer side too, because they make all the they make the whole coil and whatnot. They make these really nice end game content, but when they look at the numbers and see how a small percentage do this content, actually do and complete and experience this content, they want more people to do it to reflect about the amount of time and effort they put into it.
Well, yeah, sure, but I mean, give it time though. You have to gate some content by challenge, because if you don't, then everyone's going to experience everything in 7 weeks and go, well, there's nothing to do. You know what I mean?
You're going to be a Nika.
Yeah. Well.
Nero agreed. He agreed.
Although I guess I'm already kind of at that point.
I was mentioning earlier, you have Ravana weapon. What more do you have to do until raids come out?
I'm leveling Black Mage now.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Exactly. So I think therein lies. You want to be able to structure your content. So yeah, the most amount of people who want to see whatever you present through that content can see it, but you don't want to. The incentive has got to stay active, and as soon and Square, to be fair, Square Enix is really good about this. As soon as you nerf that content, you have to replace it with other challenging content. So when you would see the next turns of Binding Coil come out, and they would ease the restrictions on some of the earlier turns.
Yeah, and I think that's the way to go about it.
That is the way to go about it. And that way, there's some people like us who will bellyache that, it's getting nerfed, it's too easy. But in the end, you are providing a progression model for your community. Thank you for the call, Ryoko. Unfortunately, we've got to move on here if we're going to get to any emails. And I think at that we're only going to take 2 emails. So,
do you know which 2?
No. Do you have one picked out, Kahlo, that you really want to read this week?
I think we should not read the last one because I think it's stupid.
I thought it was cute.
No, we're definitely reading Juxta. You're reading the last one.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Dumb.
And now, Kahlo, how about you pick out one?
All right. Let's do one from our friend Samus.
Okay.
All right. I'll start with that one.
You have to read it in a real bitch
I
voice.
will read it, Nika. All right. This is exactly how Samus talks when me and him talk one-on-one, because we do that all the time. Oh my god. These Aether Currents? Why is SE making us do work by questing and running around and grabbing these fucking Aether Currents? I mean, why can't we just get the ability to fly? How dare they make us do work? And what the actual fuck is up with us being attuned to air currents while we're on the ground? I just want to jump straight into endgame rating and be bad at my job so I can complain about how the DF and the PF are fucking terrible. Actually, they're fucking terrible now. I can't believe that people don't have Ravana on farm yet. It's already been a week since Heavensward released, and people still haven't fucking farmed it. Oh my god. Oh, and also, in before the nerf Ravana hard mode bitching. Forever yours, Samus Rageborner.
Thank you.
Our favorite troll.
Thank you so much, Samus, for that email. And, that sums up a lot of what I hear on the Facebook groups. Not to single anyone out, but, this fucking
everyone
Facebook
on Facebook.
Yeah, fucking,
the actual main player groups on Facebook for 14,
the biggest
everyone
ones
posts things like that.
The biggest ones. They're just
and
it's shit post after shit post. What server should I join? I'm coming back. Yeah, just fucking ridiculous. That's the kind of stuff that Square Enix needs to ignore. That kind of casual passing belly aching that, people who have no real investment in this game. And I'm not talking casual players. I'm talking people who very casually pick up this game and they have three or four gripes about it, and then they put it back down and they're like, that game is fucking dumb. Well, you know what?
You're fucking dumb.
Square Enix doesn't need to listen. There's 5 million people logging in and playing this game right now. And, Square Enix doesn't need to listen to the vocal minority. Fucking get your shit together, Facebook. Seriously, come on. Facebook groups.
Seriously.
Goddamn bastards.
You're an inspiration for birth control.
That was perfect.
He was saving that one.
Wow. But accurate. Totally.
Praise the butt god.
Praise the butt god.
All right. So, hey, LBR crew, and especially Juxta.
Why especially Juxta?
And especially Juxta.
Maybe it's sarcastic.
And especially Juxta.
Keep going. There is
and especially Juxta.
Stop it.
I'm going to keep repeating that every time you... Okay. I'm a long time listener, but this is my first time writing to the show.
Thank you.
The first episode I've ever listened to was the one Juxtaposition debuted on. I know it's going to be an unpopular opinion, but I fell in love with him instantly. Shame on you, you lost the Taru speech.
Yeah, shame on you.
That was really hard.
Man, this guy has gone through more
transformation.
See now. Okay, so a little story. So, Kahlo, you had bought had a big print commissioned by Tom2.
Yeah.
Of Juxta's character transforming from a red mage Taru.
Yeah. It shows him in his Mog house putting his AF on a mannequin and then walking out and kind of off into the distance.
And then he becomes Mikote.
Right, and then at the bottom it just shows him
Mikote Juxta, but
Mikote
the way
Juxta Paladin
Juxta. So
and it says a hero reborn.
Right, and it's very, very poignant. I thought it was a very good gift,
and he fucked it up.
He completely made it totally irrelevant. Not just first by switching off a Paladin, and then by switching to Aura. What the fuck is this shit? Why am I the only one that's pissed off? You should be pissed off with me.
No, you know what? You know what this means now. I'm just not going to put as much thought into his gifts now. I'm just going to buy him fucking amiibos.
You know what this means? He's going to be purposely left off of every T-shirt and piece of marketing from now until
we can't
trust you.
No, it should just be whatever my current incarnation is at that point. Because I'm I am
I got it.
I'm the voice for the new race.
No, I got it. I think we should just replace him on everything with a ditto.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's what I know is going to fucking happen, and this is what irks me about this the most. Okay, is that we're going to get this wonderful, beautiful image from Max V
that has him on as a Mikote,
and we're going to get it printed up on posters and T-shirts, and we're all going to, of course, all of our Patreon donors will, of course, get theirs if they gave at that level, but we will also get it. And the only thing that I'm going to hear from him is going to be like, it's not my crin, it's not my Aura.
No, you know what? You know what I'm going to start doing?
Not my Aura.
This is what I'm going to start doing. Whenever he goes to work, and I'll get his girlfriend in on this, we're just going to Fantasia him back into a cat.
Yes!
And we're going to keep on doing that until he finally gets sick of changing back into an Aura and says, Fine, I'll be a cat. Is that what you guys want? I'll just be a fucking cat. Meow, meow, meow. I'm a motherfucking cat. Great.
Anyway,
continue.
Although I don't play Final Fantasy XIV, I've followed you ever since I got hooked. I just wanted to write in to say that you still have all the same magic you had back in the 11 days. Even though I can't play 14, it feels like I know all about because of your show. Being able to live vicariously through you helps all the work days go by so quick. So I don't have much more to say, but I would like to add that you should all take it easy on Juxta. Take it easy on Juxta. Yeah, okay.
Did you write this, Juxta?
No. No, I did not write this.
That's why I'm making him read it. At least, you
can tell I didn't write it because I'm stumbling. It's really sad how mean you are to him sometimes, considering he brings a lot of laughs and hearts to the show.
Aww.
Forever a fan, Lila Rindare, formerly of Fairy 11. P.S. Why did you bring Kahlo back? He's kind of a pig.
Yeah, what the heck is that? What the hell is that? No, okay.
Eat it, dick.
Look, I realized back in the 11 days, maybe, a little bit, okay, I kind of got around a little, but I will have you know I am happily engaged now, okay, and we're waiting for our wedding date to come up, okay? I resent that, Lila.
Still butthurt.
Fuck off.
That was good. That was good.
It was pretty good. Huh?
We're all butt healed.
I think we've got time for one more. Nika, would you like to take one? Would you like to pick one out here? We used the first and the last one. So any of the ones in the middle.
Let's pick one that talks more about Heavensward, considering that's one that we've been talking about.
Sure.
How about just a nice one from Artorias Sonic Strife on Phoenix? He says, "Hey guys, hope you're all well. My time with Heavensward has been amazing. I started as soon as it was live, and I have been playing every day since. Don't worry though, I've not deprived myself of sleep." No, I was hoping he would say it was a poop stocking. Nope, no, okay. This expansion has been truly amazing. Just beat Bismarck X last night, which is a super fun fight. The thing that's impressed me the most, though, is the story. So many great moments. Not too sure about some of the voice changes, but most have stayed faithful enough to the original. The whole story had me gripped from the start, even shed a tear at a certain moment. We all know
cry.
And the last fight was amazing. I'm going to skip the next sentence for spoilers. As a ninja, I'm impressed with my new skills. I now have and makes the job even more fun to play, even if I'm constantly stealing hate in the dungeons. But hey, that's what the new aggro skills are for. Wars have also become even more of a DPS god, it seems. At least my friend has. All in all, couldn't have asked for a better expansion and can't wait for Alexander with my mates. Thanks for a great show as always, guys. Artorias Sonic Strife of Phoenix.
Thank you very much for all of the emails, and glad to see that so many people are having fun with the expansion. Some of those voice I'm gonna echo the sentiment. Some of the voice changes in there have really been throwing me off big time.
But they may be different, but at least they're all still good.
They are. You're right. They are all still good. Different. Yeah, different's not necessarily bad. It's just
right. In fact, maybe you guys should be looking forward to Minfilia. Maybe she'll be good now.
Hashtag where's Minfilia? Hashtag bring back the Minfilia.
If we do get her back, it won't be till 3.5.
She's going to be the only one with the same voice actress.
And everyone's going to be mad.
Though, that they didn't change the Japanese actors. It's just the English ones. So I can't help but wonder if that's a contract issue or if that's all our fans are bitching about the voice acting. Let's change it all.
There's a lot of things at play there. It could be a great number of things. I mean, we don't even really know when the voiceovers for 2.0 were initially recorded and how much it was recorded. I mean, they could have recorded every piece of dialogue from 2.0 to 2.5 in one recording session. You know what I mean?
Spoilers.
Well, I mean, they've got all of this narrative planned out ahead of time, and I don't see, what we could do as a community that would make Square Enix have to react. I mean, if you've got all of the dialogue written, just record it all at one time. So if they recorded all of the dialogue for 2.0 and then it came time for, recording the stuff for 3.0, I'm assuming that they would probably record that all as one big session as well. And, if you're doing that, it may be something as simple as the actor that played X was on a job that day and couldn't make that session. You know what I mean? We're putting a lot of thought into it, but, it could be something as simple as that. Like the actor just straight up wasn't available. Or
maybe the actor's dead. Drug overdose. Yeah. Poor
Although I thought Emmerich sounded the same, but
he is. Yeah, no, Emmerich is the same guy because he has a very distinctive accent that I think you would know if they changed him.
Okay. All right.
So then it makes me wonder if it's just like a contract thing, or they
Again,
I don't know.
yeah, like certain people could have just not been available, and they had to work with whoever they could grab. Who knows? I mean, the actual like industry side of these things is sometimes very difficult to know.
How is that guy naked? What the fuck? Says someone in the chat.
The power of the censorship bar.
Yes,
it just makes it worse.
I
told you.
It just fills. Yeah, the mind fills in. Yeah. So anyway, thank you all very much for your emails, and glad that we were able to get to emails this week. Although we are running pretty long. I think.
Oh my god! Yeah, we're at 2.5 hours.
Yeah, we are at.
I have a thing to go to tonight.
Yeah, right.
There's even some story discussion that we did not get a chance to get to.
Which honestly, though, I think that could probably take its own show even one.
Oh
day.
yeah, we could probably There's definitely a lot that we could talk about there. So, but thank you guys for joining us this afternoon. This has been a really fun discussion.
It's been great having the full cast in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know, right? Like
You guys are so mean.
We're including you too, Nika.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about me.
Well, look, Nika, you realize
because nobody else will.
You
somebody has to do it.
You realize that a Nero has the cardboard cutout like stand from GameStop that has a Dragoon on it, and it brings the exact same thing to the show that Eskalia does. Okay?
Yeah. Besides, we all know what Eskalia is thinking anyway.
They'll see me next episode.
That's probably been the best drop ever.
That was really good. By the way, I do want to point out some of the more recent additions to our drop pool have been from Dragon Ball Z Abridged, which is a great internet project. If you've never seen it, what the fuck is wrong with you? Go check it out. It's from a production group named Team 4-Star. And I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be, okay,
don't lie to us.
I'm not.
All right, stop lying for now.
With a lot of the drops that we take, of course, are from like really recognizable things like Archer and It's Always Sunny, and we do those because we really like those. And we also are using drops from Dragon Ball Z Abridged, not just because we really like the show or because it's really
the show.
funny, but it is sort of, I'm gonna cop to it. It is sort of a notice me senpai. Like I'm hoping that one of the Team 4-Star guys catches wind of it and they're like, wait, somebody uses parts of our show for drops like on a morning show? What the fuck? And like that's, I mean, it's kind of a bit selfish and self-centered, but it is sort of a notice me senpai thing. But that does.
Well, okay, now that you've said that,
I'm socially awkward.
Yeah,
that's you. Congratulations.
Yeah. So, definitely make sure that you check out Dragon Ball Z Abridged. Very, very, very funny stuff. Your opening drop from that came from DBZ.
Yeah, I have that one prepped if we need it.
Okay, go for it. Yeah, hit it.
I am hilarious, and you will quote everything I say.
So yeah, I definitely wanted to take a second to spotlight another great like internet project. They've got their own Patreon as well. They're not, some like fucking Funimation funded thing. It's just dudes doing this for the love of doing it, sort of like we do. So
and Kooky, being the great PR person that she is, has actually linked their YouTube and our Twitch chat. Thank you.
And they also have a website too with a whole bunch of content that's not on YouTube. So make sure that you check that out as well. So that's going to do it for episode number 20 of Limit Break Radio. I want to thank all 269 of you that are.
We were up to 298 at one point.
Wow. Hot damn. I want to thank all 269 of you that are watching live right now on twitch.tv. If you're listening on our podcast, you can get in on the fun. That's twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. You can chat along with the chat room. There is, we have grown quite a little community in our Twitch chat. And, I know sometimes it can be a little bit nerve-wracking, just sort of like stepping into a place where everyone kind of knows each other.
That's okay, because we got lots of lurkers too.
Yeah, and lurking is fine, just listening is fine, but we hope that you'd want to get involved with the Limit Break Radio community. So
that's when the real fun happens.
Bite, promise.
We won't bite hard.
I'd make no promises either one.
But if introduce yourself to the chat. It's not just us. Like, it's not just wanting to interact with us in the show. But there's a whole huge community of people, awesome people in our chat room that surround, that are big fans of Limit Break Radio. And if you like the show, you'll probably like them as well. So if you are a lurker and you've been kind of playing with the idea of saying hi, introducing yourself, or getting involved in the show, or calling the show, we want to encourage you to do that. I want to thank...
Hey, already 2 lurkers have shut it out in the chat already.
That's what's up.
That's what's
welcome.
up, Wolf Stealth.
That's what's
and
up.
Sleepy time, lurk life.
If you want to call the show and you're a little nervous, we get that. It can be a little bit of pressure when you're on the spot and suddenly you're live on a radio show. I've been on the other side of that before with my blood pumping and going, oh God, what am I going to say, and writing down all my points and everything like that. I want to thank all of our callers today. All of you guys were spectacular and brought up really great points. And
all the lurkers are jumping up now.
And a whole bunch of them are saying hi.
Luna Light said she's a first-time listener and lurking. She'll be back.
That's what's up. So yeah,
lurker's gonna lurk.
Oh, that's been the first okay one. That's been the first okay one. So yeah, if you want to get involved, please don't hesitate to do so. There's a lot of different ways that you can get involved with the show. Calling is just one way. You can also tweet us at Limit Break Radio. You can get involved in our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Limit Break Radio. You can, of course, chat along with us at twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. Follow us because we stream all the time, not just Heavensward, but other stuff as well. You can sub to the podcast at limitbreakradio.com. Head to iTunes, leave us an iTunes review. It helps other people find the show, and we want other people to find the show. And you can find us anywhere that you subscribe to your podcasts. We are available there. Any information that you need, that's at limitbreakradio.com. This podcast will come out on Tuesday, so if you're looking to kill some time and maybe you only caught half of this episode, catch the first half when it hits our website at limitbreakradio.com on Tuesday. And we are a weekly Final Fantasy XIV talk show, so come back next Sunday at 2 p.m. We're going to say 2 p.m. 2 p.m. is when we've been able to hit this pretty well. Come back next week right here at twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio at 2 p.m. And we'll be talking about probably more Heavensward, because, I mean, what else? Oh, Alexander! We'll probably be talking about Alexander.
But to be fair, Alexander is Heavensward.
Well, that's true.
Heaven's gonna ward.
Alexander story mode.
This place is boring.
That may be a summary. But tune in next week to find out what do we feel about Alexander. That's all going to be on the next episode of Limit Break Radio. I want to thank my co-hosts, Kahlo Landis, Juxtaposition, Nika Kayanian, and even though he couldn't be here, number 6, Eskalia Rayumasa. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm Aniro. Keep listening. Limit Break Radio is a production of LimitBreakRadio.com and Bender Media Productions. Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea are trademarks of Square Enix. Funding for Limit Break Radio is provided by Miri Kennett, Scry De La Rosa, Zurian Urexin, Satori Komeji, Karkwin Albard, Rajan Nelka, and fellow Limit Break Radio listeners. To support Limit Break Radio, visit patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. Opening music in this episode from Daniel Lambie. Listen to Man with the Machine Gun and other great tracks at facebook.com/Daniel Lambie Metal Gamer. Closing music in this episode provided by Husky by the Geek. Listen to this and other great Final Fantasy XIV and video game rock covers and original music at facebook.com/Husky by the Geek. In-game graphics for Limit Break Radio's Twitch stream are provided by Diamond Multimedia. Check out their line of AMD graphics cards and other hardware at diamondmm.com. Limit Break Radio and its hosts are solely responsible for its content.